I know once I walk in. Testing. Testing, testing. I do apologize. Should we start over with the?
We're good to proceed. Yeah. I guess in summary, for those that couldn't hear, in case there was, the May agenda, we voted to switch the presentations from the front of the agenda to after the panel packets, and April's meeting minutes were approved. All right, so I think I'm handing it over to staff and executive reports.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning and welcome panel members, stakeholders, and staff. I am excited to introduce everyone to our newest panel member, Jennifer Fothergill, whom Speaker Rivas appointed in April. She was sworn in last month and we're excited to welcome her as the 8th panel member, filling in the position formerly held by Ernesto Morales. Today's agenda includes 24 proposals, 7 of which are delegation orders. If all proposals are funded today, the panel will be approving projects in support of 5,897 trainees for approximately $6.1 million. Review and action on these proposals will be presented by the following managers: Kellen Hernandez, Chris Hoover, and Jana Lazarovich. Additionally, the executive report will continue with the following: an information technology update from Chief Information Officer Tara Armstrong, a legislative update from Staff Attorney Michael Cable, and a budget update from Chief Deputy Director Jaime Gutierrez. That concludes my part of the executive report, so I will hand it over to Tara Armstrong. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Good morning. You guys hear me okay? Good morning, panel members, stakeholders. I have our technology update today. It's been a couple of panel members, so I'm glad to be here. So starting off under our Cali program, Cali system, after last month's panel on funding strategies, I want to announce that the changes are implemented into our Cali Force system and ready for applications for next fiscal year. This includes updates on the NAICS priority industry status and also their reimbursement rates. So next, also some stakeholders may have seen updates to our terms and conditions when registering and applying. And this provides information on our conditions of use, our privacy policy. So we're always continuing to be clear with our customers about the information that we collect from them. Excuse me. Lastly, under our enhancement, we have done performed a ease of use on uploads to remove the case sensitive requirement. So hopefully that's helping our customers with their uploads area. Under Cali grants, we're continuing with the grant closeout and participant data functionality, supporting CWDB, California Workforce Development Board, and ETP. And under support and security, I'm happy to share ETP's results of the information security assessment that was conducted in February. Now, this assessment is conducted by the California Military Department for all state agencies. And the assessment is designed to test our technical security controls and also measure our cybersecurity maturity. And thank you. So on the screen here, you can see that ETP had scored a 77% this year. If you look at last year's in 21-22, we scored 15% higher than our last assessment, and we're also 5% above the state average. So this definitely reflects the great work done by our tech team and all of ETP to support our technical environment and enhance our cybersecurity posture. And if there are any questions, that's the end of my report. Over to Mac.
Good morning, panel members. As promised, I brought a legislation memorandum for you today that outlines the legislation that your legal unit is tracking during this 23-24 regular legislative session. I'm going to highlight 3 bills in your memorandum. I'm not going to go through all of them. I'm going to highlight 3 of them. The first one is AB 1163, which is at the bottom of page 2. And for people that may be in the audience, there's copies of this on the back, and we'll also be posting one online. AB 1163 was approved by the governor, and it was chaptered. It adds intersexuality when collecting voluntary self-identification information pertaining to sexual orientation and gender identity in accordance with the Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, and Transgender Disparities Reduction Act. Since this is the law now, my understanding of staff is ensuring compliance by including intersexuality when collecting this voluntary self-identification information. So we are in compliance. That one was chaptered. The second one I want to highlight is SB 525, which is at the top of page 5. And this one here is a minimum wage change for healthcare workers. This one also was approved by the governor, and it was chaptered as well. This one increases the minimum wage for healthcare workers to $21 per hour from June 1st, 2024 to June 1st, 2025, at which time the minimum wage will increase to $25 an hour. Again, similar to the last bill I was just referring to, my understanding of staff is taking the steps to ensure that these wage increases are and will be reflected in applications and training proposals going forward. So we'll be in compliance with that as well. Lastly, as discussed last time, there is a bill that's the SB 1321, which is at the top of page 7. As you know, SB 1321 is the employment training panel bill that proposes to make significant changes to our program. Generally speaking, and this is just generally speaking, SB 1321 currently proposes to make changes in order to support DAS-approved training programs, to give funding priority to applicants that advance workers in disadvantaged, unrepresented communities, and to put into place protections and requirements to prohibit bad actors from receiving ETP funding. The bill as it currently stands, there's probably a lot of work to be done on it. At this time, it's out of the Senate, so it did make the deadline and it got out of the Senate, and it has been referred to the Assembly Committee on Labor and Employment earlier this week, which I believe was the committee that was also shepherding AB 1766 at one time. Of course, we'll continue to track and monitor the progress of SB 1321, and we'll provide the panel members with any significant events as they develop. I don't have any other items to report today, but I am available for any questions you may have with what is in front of you. And if you have any bills that you would like us to track or include in our tracking, just please drop me a line and I will do so. Thank you. It always gets quiet when I do my report.
There was a whisper of happiness over here on one of them.
Okay.
But just making sure that going forward, June 1st, isn't it, with the Healthcare Worker Act, that we'll see that happening in proposals.
Correct. It's a two-step process, and the first step's coming up and then in the following year. You're welcome. And I will hand it over to Jaime, I believe, now for his presentation.
Yes, thank you, Michael. Good morning, panel members and stakeholders. Thank you once again for the opportunity to provide a summary of the employment training panel's funding, as well as overall fiscal impacts and some staffing updates. I will start with the staffing updates. First of all, I'd like to welcome Daniel Alvarez to the San Diego Regional Office, Kelsey Malloy also to the San Diego Regional Office, Tracy Liu to Compliance Review Unit, and Christy Wong to the Executive Support Communications Unit. Welcome to all of them. Additionally, now going into the overall fiscal impacts, as most of you, if not all of you, are aware, the governor's May revision included additional strategies to address the 2024-2025 budget shortfall. After accounting for the early action package that the governor and legislature agreed to earlier this year, the budget shortfall for the state fiscal year 24-25 is approximately $27.6 billion. In order to address the shortfall, the May revise proposes an across-the-board reduction to state operations by approximately 7.95% beginning in state fiscal year 24-25. The governor's budget proposal to reduce department budgets is tied to savings associated with vacant positions. The initial proposal intended to make that reduction a one-time reduction. However, the May revision proposes to make that reduction permanent moving forward. The Department of Finance is expected to provide guidance in early fall and will be working with departments to appropriately address the 7.95% reduction in state operations. While ETP is funded through the employment training tax and is not dependent on the general fund, we must abide by the direction provided by the administration, and therefore we will see some impacts to our organization. To the extent those impacts occur, we do not yet know. Collections and ETT, Employment Training Tax Reserve funding. As for the ETT, the Employment Training Tax collections, based on most recent data we have received, the collections are currently at approximately 16% under the initial projected collections for the year. The good news, however, is that if the collections do come in at approximately 15 to 20% under the projected amount, we hope to be able to draw upon the reserve to make up the difference in order to ensure that ETP keeps the contracting capacity at approximately $95 million, as stated last month when I provided the information. So that leads me to our funding. As Director Grimes stated, today's panel meeting is for approximately $6.1 million. That includes 7 approved delegation orders for a total of $436,609. If all proposals scheduled for this panel meeting are funded today, the panel will be approving 26 projects. Regarding demand, we have 155 applications currently in demand. 48 applications are currently with the regional offices in development. 23 applications are under review by the Application Assessment Unit, and 84 applications have been submitted and are pending review. The estimated value of the 155 applications is $36.4 million and breaks down as follows: $14.4 million in demand for single employer contracts, $5.1 million in demand for small business, $16.9 million in demand for multiple employer contracts. Currently, there is no demand for apprenticeships or zero demand for proposals as well. Regarding our allocations, we are currently within our total allocation for state fiscal year 23-24. That is the final portion of my report. And once again, we do not have a consent calendar for this month. At this time, I would like to hand it back to you, Madam Chair, for the next topic on the agenda, unless there are any questions for me.
Any questions? No, I think we're good. Thank you. I think we're now moving on to proposals. I'm handing it back to staff. I like this game of handing it back.
Good morning, Chairman, panel members. I believe we're moving, that was moved to the end. So we're going to jump into the single employer contracts.
Correct,
Tab
straight over
one.
to panel packets.
Okay,
Yep, we're
yeah.
moving
So please turn
presentations.
to tab 1. This is a training proposal for Pioneer Circuits, Inc. They're a priority industry and a repeat contractor. Total ETP funding being requested today is for $88,366 to train 113 estimated number of trainees under Job 1 priority rate retrainees. This is PCI's third ETP contract and their third within the last 5 years. And here today to answering your questions are the company representative and its subcontractor Propel Consulting Group.
Good morning, panel. My name is Cindy. I'm the HR specialist representing Pioneer Circuits today.
Can I just check online? Can they hear? Because it's really faint in here on that microphone. Hearing. No. It's not just my hearing. I'm glad it's not just my hearing. Yeah, it sounded really quiet on the microphone.
Is this better?
That's better, yeah.
Okay.
Good morning. So this proposal I know came in as a coming back to panel. I'm going to invite you guys to speak first about what changes from having had the conversation, and then I'm going to open up to panel for questions. Because I know we had quite a long conversation about prior performance, whether ineligibilities, the management of the contracts. Do you want to talk more about that for us so we can get a better understanding of
yes.
the plan going forward for this one?
Yes. So in the prior contract, I was put into ETP, I think, with less than a year left. And I didn't have a clear understanding what the requirements was and who was eligible. It was a mess. I was just scrambling to get the hours in. But with me overseeing ETP from start to finish now, my plan going in is pulling a whole list of eligible employees at first, meeting with the quality department and each manager to get a list of all of the trainings that are required for each position. We do have team leader meetings every Friday as well, which we train leadership skills, and I can provide all the trainings that needs to be done for me to keep track of all the hours completed as well.
Thank you. Does the panel have questions?
Wanted to express that I appreciate you taking this back. Having the reduction of job numbers from 2 down to 1, it'll be easier to get this done. The elimination of the job creation job number, thank you for that. It is a program that we're eliminating going forward. And then also moving your post-contractual wages up. So thank you.
Anyone else have any questions? I have one, and I think it's when we go to post-retention wage and your wage ranges. So we're committing, and I know in prior ones we had ineligible based on wages. So this is the reason I'm asking. You have a lot where the actual wage range is below before training at that $20, but the post-retention is $22.55. Are they receiving wage increases after training? I just want to make sure you're successful on that post-retention wage.
So we schedule performance review annually. So every employee is scheduled a performance review between 12 to 16 months after their last review.
They're also using the healthcare.
So they're using the healthcare to help move it up. Okay. I just wanted to make sure you were going to hit that post-retention, given the last ones were because we had a lot of ineligible because they were below your post-retention. So that was my biggest concern. Any other questions from the panel? No?
Motion to approve Pioneer Circuits, Inc. and an ETP funding amount of $88,366.
Second.
And do I have any public comment on this proposal? No comments?
No public comments.
Okay, I will go to vote, please.
Chris Dombrowski.
Aye.
Ricky Smiles.
Aye.
Rebecca Betancourt.
Aye.
Gretchen Newsom.
Aye.
Michael Hill.
Aye.
Jennifer Fothergill.
Aye.
Douglas Tracy.
Aye.
Thank you. So you have a full vote of approval, so the motion is adopted.
So much.
You're welcome. Good luck with it.
Okay, next we have tab number 2. This is a proposal from Sunray Solar, Inc. They are a repeat contractor requesting $223,215 to train a total of 197 workers, including 42 employees. Training will take place at their Rockland location. Representatives from Sunray Solar are here to address any questions.
Hi, my name is Monica Dooling. I'm the HR and Safety Manager for Sunray Solar.
Thank you. Good morning. Does anyone have questions on this proposal?
I do. I have been made aware, first, Sunray Solar received an ETP grant of $330,000 for the term of January 30th, 2022 to January 30th, 2024. And in that same time frame, your crew had multiple serious OSHA violations. One particular violation, it reads online at OSHA, at 3:15 p.m. on February 17th, 2022, employee number 1 was working as part of a crew installing a new roof on a 3-story multifamily structure. The roof had open sides and employee number 1 was not wearing fall protection at the time of the incident. Employee number 1 fell 30 feet, hitting a wood stair handrail on the way down and landing on the compact dirt ground. Employee number 1 was hospitalized and treated with multiple body injuries, including a skull fracture and spinal injuries. There is also listed on OSHA other OSHA violations, but that's the big serious flag that this occurred during your contract with us. And we have, first and foremost, we want all workers to be safe. And this is such a serious violation to me that I find myself struggling to show any support for this project at this time. We'd like to discuss what happened, what's happened since then, how is training being provided to make sure that these kinds of incidents never.
Well, two things that Sunray lives by. We live by the quality of work and the safety of our employees. Unfortunately, the accidents are going to happen, but what's important to me with these is that we learn from them, figure out why they happened, what we can do differently. In this particular situation, it was identified at the beginning of the project that there were spaces, there were parapet walls on the roof, but there were a few spaces on the stairway that did not have the parapet walls. We went to the general contractor. They installed them on the first couple of buildings. So we assumed that they would continue to install them. One of the things that it didn't happen. One of the things that we implemented since this accident was training the guys. I'm really been focusing on hazard identification. So employees go out to the job sites, they have to be able to identify the hazards to either eliminate them or they've also been advised that if a hazard is identified and it cannot be eliminated, that they are to stop work. That's what should have happened in this situation. And that's what we've been focusing on since this accident.
Talk to me a little bit about job number 2, where your stated post-retention wage is significantly lower than job number 1. Where job number 1, the post-retention wage would be $30.75, and you're using the job creation initiative, which is on its way out and about to be retired, to come in and try to lower the wage to $20 an hour for post-retention. That doesn't sit very well with me.
We get a lot of, it's a struggle to find good, quality, skilled employees. So we get a lot of people with zero experience at all. Our goal is to give those people an opportunity, provide the training, and that's why it's probably considerably lower than job 1.
I rest my line of questioning at this point.
Anyone else have any questions? I do have one around prior performance. So I am assuming this has been right-sized, correct, based on prior performance. I think it goes in line of actually something Gretchen brought up about new hires and others. It seems that's what pulled down your last contract on performance, was that the projection of your new hires was not in line with what you actually ended up hiring. Can you help us better understand how you really plan to be above the 75% this time? I think we'll use the example of the company that came before you. We actually had the same. We looked at their contracts. They were under the 75%. We really want to know what were they going to do differently to be able to come up to a higher than 75% as we're awarding funds. So can you help us better understand how you are setting yourself up for success to make sure you're hitting over 75% in this coming contract?
Well, that was our first contract. And I admit we got off to a slow start. Direction was given to department heads, divisional managers to provide the training to their staff and crews. This time around, I plan to be more assertive from day one. We have some written training documentation guidance for what we're going to expect as a company. We're really focusing in on trying to create more of a lean construction, maximizing profits through these busy times. We hit getting a slow start on the first contract, and then construction. There's a lot of external factors that affect our business. So if we're able to improve our processes, maximize profits through the busy times, helps us sustain and retain all of our employees to continue the training during the slow times.
And when you're tracking your hours, are you using a learning management system, Excel spreadsheets? How are you going to keep on top to ensure? Because one of the lines in here says that you're hoping to provide them up to the 200-hour maximum, which is the easiest way, I'm going to say, to recoup is to get your 200-hour maximum in there. So how are you planning, how are you managing watching the hours and the team members coming in to make sure you're meeting what you're proposing in the contract?
I set up a spreadsheet during the last contract and send out monthly updates to ownership. And then we do have weekly training meetings with all the department heads and divisional managers as well. So it's one of our top focuses in each of those meetings.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from the panel?
I'm just not satisfied that this proposal is meeting our statutory requirements for high road jobs, nor providing safe and secure jobs for our trainees. My motion is to deny.
Else from anyone else? A minute.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, so we have two for a motion to deny. Yep, that's where I'm going. Do we have any public comments?
No public comments.
All right, so, oh, hang on.
Oh.
We do have someone coming up, I think. Just step forward a minute.
Good morning, members of the panel. My name is David Vincent. I'm here in my capacity as a 36-year resident of the state of California and a lifetime taxpayer as well. And I'm glad it was brought up, but I just wanted to focus on the DOSH complaints and the occupational safety and health complaints that have taken place with this company. And I know that there were, they're coming back for a second round. And I know that obviously these ETP funds are rivalrous. And so you're looking for the most meritorious candidates when you're awarding these funds. And, similarly, when I look for contractors, especially they're performing work within the state and, on prevailing wage or other jobs, I like to look at the, OSHA establishment search for, the state and federal records. And I had seen that there were in the 3 years before their first award in 2022, that there were a number of incidents from personal fall restraint systems, heat illness prevention, and eye and face protection violations, both in California and Nevada. And one of them being a repeated offense. And I just noticed that the 2022 and 2023 violations, involving even a hospitalization according to the DOSH documents online. So I'm glad that Member Newsom brought that up, but I just wanted to, make sure, because I know that both in the 2022 packet that was awarded upon and this month's packet, there were talks about, safety precautions that would be trained upon. I'm myself a little bit curious what those looked like, or if any of the individuals behind me had any, thought that those were successful and I'm glad to hear that there are some, there's been some implementation of, that will hopefully make working for this contractor more safe in the months and years to come. But that was just something I wanted to bring up before you made a determination. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
You have one online.
Mhm.
Vincent, can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
Perfect. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. My name is Vince Segru. I am a tax-paying resident of California and listening in as a member of the public. I just wanted to respond to the comment that the applicant made around accidents are going to happen being the response. I think the response should be accidents shouldn't be happening and can be avoided. These were actually completely avoidable OSHA accidents that took place and serious violations during the previous ETP contract. And I think it reflects a poor company culture focused on what the applicant said as maximizing profits rather than safety. The employee wasn't wearing fall protection, and I think that's important to note because that does reflect company culture. And the ETP funding is ultimately a privilege, and I would respectfully request that you deny this application and appreciate the line of questioning thus far. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any others?
No further public comments.
No further public. Okay. Does the panel have any other comments, questions? We are going to go for a vote then.
Chris Dombrowski.
Aye.
Ricky Smiles.
This is a vote to deny.
To deny.
Aye.
Correct.
Rebecca Betancourt.
Aye.
Gretchen Newsom.
Aye to deny.
Michael Hill.
Aye.
Jennifer Fothergill.
Aye.
Douglas Tracy.
Aye.
Okay, so the motion was adopted to deny the proposal. Thank you.
Good morning, Director Grimes and panel members. I'll be presenting proposals developed in the San Diego Regional Office and a handful of proposals developed in North Hollywood Regional Office today. If you will please turn to tab 3. Tab 3 is a proposal from All American Racers, Inc. They're requesting $165,600 to train a total of 144 retrainees. Training will take place at All American Racer, Inc.'s location in Santa Ana. This would be All American Racers, Inc.'s first ETP contract. Representative from All American Racers, Inc. is present to answer any questions from the panel.
Hi, good morning. My name is Sandy Lopez, and I am the HR manager for All American Racers. And I just want to say thank you in advance for helping us support to further develop our staff.
Thank you. Does the panel have any questions?
It's your first time before us. How did you hear about the opportunity? And welcome.
I'm sorry. Actually, I did not hear about you guys. It was actually my VP of HR that had heard about you guys. And so we went ahead and implemented, and followed the same procedures.
Fantastic. I just have a question surrounding Productive Lab, just to make sure we are clear on expectations of Productive Lab, how we go about it, because there's been some interesting conversations around it recently. When you look at your Productive Lab, who are your trainers and how are you qualifying them?
So our trainers actually are our leads, our supervisors, our managers, and majority of them, we have a very big tenure there. So they've started at the bottom. So they've moved up, and so they've experienced pretty much every single role that we've had in the production. And so that's what helps us qualify them, because they've had the years of experience. Aside from that, we have also implemented in our HRIS system, which is Paylocity right now, a training where we put the trainings in there and they have to go through testing. So if they do not actually have the knowledge to answer the questions properly, they will have to retake it until they actually qualify.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
I do appreciate that you're maintaining the 1-to-1 ratio for Productive Lab. That's very important to us. And
any other questions on this proposal? Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve All American Racers, Inc. for $165,600.
Second.
Thank you. Do we have any public comment?
No public comments.
All right, so we will go to vote.
Chris Dombrowski. Aye. Ricky Smiles.
Aye.
Rebecca Betancourt.
Aye.
Gretchen Newsom.
Aye.
Michael Hill.
Aye.
Jennifer Fothergill.
Aye.
and Douglas Tracy.
Aye.
So we're all in favor, so the motion is adopted.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You will please turn to tab 4. Tab 4 is a proposal from Marietta Circuits. They are a repeat contractor requesting $92,920 to train a total of 101 retrainees. Training will take place at Marietta Circuits location in Anaheim, California. This would be the company's second ETP contract and the second in the past 5 years. Representative from Marietta Circuits is present to answer any questions from the panel.
Yep.
Good morning. I'm Monica Gallegos. I am the HR director for Marietta Circuits. Thank you for having me and the patience to come in here with my little stroller.
Thank you. Any questions from the panel on this one?
I just wanted to say thank you for providing the certifications with your training. But could you elaborate for me about wage progression, specifically for the operators? So if somebody starts off at the lower tier, how soon can they anticipate up to the next tier of wages?
So it depends. So say, for instance, you get an operator for more high-tech piece of equipment. They come in with maybe some background, right, on say surface mount technology, which is hot in our industry right now. They come in, they have to learn more about the process. Say they come in at $20 an hour. It's really hard to get anybody below that is going to really be interested in learning more and developing their career. So in 6 months, once they learn to operate on their own, then they go up. Would it be $1, $2? It all depends on how fast and how much they've learned. In 1 year, we'll evaluate again. After that is annually.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Motion to approve Marietta Circuits and an ETP funding amount of $92,920.
Second.
Thank you. Any public comments?
No public comments.
Public comments? All right, so we will go to vote.
Chris Dombrowski.
Aye.
Ricky Smiles.
Aye.
Rebecca Betancourt.
Aye.
Gretchen Newsom. Michael Hill.
Aye.
Jennifer Fothergill.
Aye.
and Douglas Tracy.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion's adopted.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
You'll please turn to tab 5. Tab 5 is a proposal from Reborn Cabinets LLC. They are repeat contractor requesting $499,468 to train a total of 356 retrainees. Training will take place at Reborn Cabinets locations in Orange, Alameda, Los Angeles, and Sacramento counties. This would be the company's 4th ETP contract and the 3rd in the past 5 years. Representative from Reborn Cabinets is present to answer any questions from the panel.
Good morning, panel members. My name is Raul Wepe. I am the Vice President of Talent and Career Development for Reborn. Honored to be here in front of all of you. Thank you for the last contracts. It's really changed our business, and very happy you guys are seeing us again.
Thank you. Any questions?
This isn't your first time at this rodeo, so if you could elaborate for me specifically on the impact of this contract to your workers themselves, them receiving the training, advancing in their careers, moving up with wage progression. Talk to me a little bit more about that.
To date, to give you an idea of our leadership team, 69, so to give you some context, there's 567 California employees. 94 of them are part of the leadership team. 69 were promoted. Those 69 started with us at a low-level job, including myself, and were promoted into leadership positions. We almost exclusively hire only entry-level employees and bring them up to different various parts of the organization, whether it's manufacturing, sales, or installation, everybody starts at an entry-level role. It has transformed the way that we do business. We can serve our customers better because we tend to groom and produce a better team member, right? That ultimately serves the community better.
Your inclusion of commissions usually raises a serious red flag for me. It's a structure that I'm not an advocate of. It reminds me of kind of your commission, just to clarify and put this into the record, is only applicable to your sales staff and not applicable to meeting the post-retention wage for your manufacturing or installation staff.
That's right, just to sales staff. And if you'd like to elaborate on that, I can kind of dig in. Our sales reps start off at $40,000 a year. That's roughly $19.23 an hour. We do a lot to make sure that we put the right person in the right seat in that job. So, one is selection of the candidate, right? Two is training. It's a rigorous 2.5-week training. And then if the candidate is struggling, they're put on a coaching plan, similar to a performance improvement plan, but it's structured a little bit differently. If somebody's struggling, they get a host of resources. They're getting ride-alongs, one-on-one time with their managers and their trainers. Even if we get to a position where that person is not a good fit, we do a really good job of reassigning them to different positions. There's also an incentive for us to make sure that everybody's successful to the point of the 1923, right? That's still shy of the 2255. That is our minimum. But to give you a little bit of context in our business, every sales rep runs 10 appointments, okay? Try to do some little bit of math here. We close on average 20% of the time that we walk into a home, we close 20% of the time. The average sale is about roughly $19,000 a job, right? Let's say somebody comes in, they're really struggling, they're closing half of that, 10%. To give you some context there, that's $760 that they would get for 4% of that job. That translates to roughly to $38.23 an hour. Even a struggling sales rep is well above that. But let's just say they're really struggling. They're at 5%. Even at 5%, which is somebody that can't sell ice cold water in Death Valley, right? Even at 5%, that's $28.73 an hour. And at that point, they're being hugged by our training, our modules that we put them in. Roughly, frankly speaking, if you're under 15%, it's kind of costing us a lot of money. We're paying $600 for every time we send somebody out on a lead. We can afford to. So the system is engineered to really support you and get you back up there, right? There's a financial incentive for us to do well with them as well, right? Besides just the person and doing right for them.
It's a structure that I struggle with.
Yeah.
Because I want the worker to be able to have the base pay that they can depend on. And if that's fluctuating so much so that they can't anticipate what their wages are going to be, what their earnings are going to be for their family the following month, because something might happen in the economy, and then sales plummet, and then they're left kind of swirling in the wind of like, how do I make ends meet? So those are the workers that I want you to really focus on. Like you're saying that you're going to provide them the extra training, et cetera, make sure that they get their sales up. But just make sure that you're going to be successful in this contract of meeting the post-retention wage, regardless of their commissions. So
you got that commitment from me. Thank you.
I think does anyone else have any comments, questions? Sorry, there's my brain. Any questions? With your productive lab, how are you qualifying your internal trainers? Because it sounds like they're internal trainers. So how do we qualify the trainers to be the best for productive lab?
We have we developed a field training certification program. We found that necessary because we had leads, right? That we said, hey, you guys are ready to train somebody else, and that didn't really work out. So we had to develop a real training program for them, and it sort of evolved over time. Here's where we are right now with that program. So there's a curriculum that we follow, and there's also entire book dedicated to this, and so they have to show complete competence in their job and in the curriculum of that job. Additionally, one of our actual trainers, there are 8 trainers on our team, 2 dedicated to almost each division of the company. Those folks are out while that new trainer is doing actual field training, and we certify that they follow the curriculum and that they're able to teach. Now, as we started to to grow this, we realized that there's still some gaps. One of those that this funding could actually really help us with, and we started it, we beta tested it, it works, which is to make it a little bit more custom to that person. So one thing that we started incorporating was we're teaching learning styles, the way that each individual learns. So we do an intake form for each person, and we say, which really determines what's their learning style. We do a personality assessment, and then we observe them. And then we customize our training to that person. Now, if we can, with this funding, that will allow us to really roll this out to every field certified trainer and all the ones that are, yet to be promoted. In addition to that, we realize that trainers are leaders. And I think that with this funding, it would allow us to really develop their leadership the way that we're normally kind of developing our own leaders. The challenge right now is we just, we don't have the resources yet to be able to do that. So those are the 2 areas I think that your program can help
I
with.
appreciate the effort being put into certified trainers, because I think it's a really important thing when we're putting them on the job, because so many who are really good at their job are not trainers. Mike, I see you have a question.
Yeah, I applaud you for the development culture that you're trying to set up. But as I hear this, I'm looking at your retention rate, and I'm wondering how come isn't lower?
Yeah, and can I just add to Mike's on there, because your prior contract, you had a large number of new hires, job creation. Your turnover rate was even higher, so it's going down, but having funded a large amount of new hires in the last contract as well, that was my next line, was how are we managing turnover and that side? Because it does sound like we've got a very good culture growing.
Thank you for pointing that out. Our turnover the last time we came here was at 17%. It's now at 12%. I'll tell you some of the things that are working for us right now. One is, selection is it falls under my umbrella, and it's a very important piece of what I do. So we look for 3 things in folks. And I want to just back up and say one thing. We're targeting folks that have never worked in this type of job. In addition to that, we're targeting underserved communities. We work with programs like Orangewood and Lynn Workforce that are aging out foster kids, right? We work with Army Pays programs. We work with several community. What they all have in common is that they've never done this before, and they may have some unique challenges to them. So here's what we've done to improve that turnover. One is that we're focused on personality, right? Because we're not looking at resume. We're focused on personality. So again, I talked about the assessment, right? So we do that, and we're looking for detail-oriented extroverts. We're looking at character, coachable folks that are resilient and have a strong moral compass wherever that comes from, and aptitude. We're looking at cognitive and mechanical aptitude. In addition to that, we've given them a career path that has multiple routes that they can take. Whether you start in manufacturing or you start in sales, there are different roads that you can take. Funny enough, 2 days ago, I was in the restroom, and there was a person next to me, and I'm always I'm the guy at the airport that's talking to everybody all the time wherever I'm in line, and I asked him, and he's kind of a scruffy guy, about my age, and he's dressed in a nice Reborn polo, but really loose and baggy fitting, right? And I asked him, I said, "Hey man, I've never met you. What do you do?" And he sames, I'm a salesperson. In all honesty, kind of caught me by surprise. A lot of our sales reps are really clean cut. And, and I tell him, really, how long have you been here? He says, well, I've been here for a year, but I've only been a sales rep for 5 months. And I said, where did you start? He said, I started in manufacturing. I was pushing a broom. But I knew I could do more. And so I kept following up with my recruiter. And every month, he knew I would call him on that Tuesday, on that first Tuesday of the month, until I got into sales. And I got into sales. He says, I closed $240,000 last month. And for context, eventually they moved from 4% to 10%. It's a $24,000 job for him. When I went to congratulate the recruiter and tell him, give him a high five and, thank him for changing that person's life, he said something else that, he had a family tragedy the day before, right? He talked about how resilient that person was. I can tell you stories like that happened throughout the entire organization. But that's to the career path. We provide people a career path that rivals some of the best organizations. We've looked to unions as inspiration, right? And how to do this well. And I think that we've achieved a lot, and that's really helped us with our turnover. Now, where this funding can help us, and I'm sorry to be so long-winded here, but where this funding can help us is we realize that career path works best when they have somebody that they can count on that's checking in on them and saying, hey, how are you doing? Where are you struggling? How can we help you? How can we help you get to the next level? I notice you've been at this level for 4 months. Usually, what do we need to get you to go to the next level, and then customize that for them? That's where I think with a little bit of help, we can actually, lower that 12% down to, sub 10. And leadership development, right? That's also helped, right? We've developed entire leaders, and that's really made a big impact. I think, with more one-on-one coaching with our entire, people leaders in the organization, which this funding would help with, would also help us lower that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from the panel? Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve reborn cabinets for $499,468.
Second.
Thank you. Do we have any public comments?
No public comments.
All right, so can we go to vote, please?
Kirsten Browski.
Aye.
Ricky Smiles.
Aye.
Rebecca Betancourt.
Aye.
Gretchen Newsom.
Aye.
Michael Hill.
Aye.
Jennifer Fothergill.
Aye.
Douglas Tracy. Aye.
All righty, so you got all in favor, so the motion is adopted and you're funded. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I won't forget about the salespeople. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, panel members. Please move to tab 6. This is a training proposal for Grandmark Service Company, Inc., DBA Grandmark Roofing. It's a priority industry, and it is not a repeat contractor. Total ETP funding being requested today is for $89,700 for an estimated number of trainees of 6 under Job 1, which is a small business retrainee, 44 under Job 2, an HUA small business retrainee, and 15 under Job 3, job creation small business retraining. Training will be delivered at all of the company's locations in Fresno, Bakersfield, and Sacramento. And again, this will be their first contract if approved today. And here to answering your questions are the company representative and its subcontractor, Propel Consulting Group.
Oh, my name is Carlos Colima, and I'm the general manager for Grandmark. I'm here to answer any questions.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions?
Thank you for being here, Carlos.
Thank you.
You are also using the Job Creation Initiative, which is about to be retired, to seek a wage modification to lower the wages from a post-retention wage of $30.75 an hour down to $19 an hour.
Right.
That's a significant concern for myself. So please talk to me about wage progression and how these installers in jobs number 2 and 3 will move up in their wages from the wage range of $19 to $20 an hour. So it's only $1 increase beyond that.
Right. So there's several things that happen in the industry. We do air conditioning as well. So there's people that come in newly graduated from college, and they're taken under a wing and they go through a training program. The training program also includes certifications within the industry. They move fairly quickly, and it's really dependent on kind of how fast they want to achieve those certifications. When it comes to the roofing personnel is the same thing. We like to hire new people, train them, get them to develop, and then they fairly move quickly. The reason why you see those numbers there is mainly for the people that doesn't move past based their effort. But that's pretty much the reasoning behind.
It's a significant amount for myself. Also listed on May 8th, 2024, an OSHA violation, but I can't see what happened there. It was in Fresno. Can you elaborate for me?
Yes. So there was an accident, and the OSHA investigator determined that there was no violation on our side. So they still finalizing their investigation. Their result is that there was nothing on our side. It was an accident.
And just to further elaborate, what are you doing to make sure your workforce is kept safe and that are apprised of all the safety job site?
Okay, so safety, it's always a huge concern on when it comes to construction. We're making sure that there is a zero tolerance on the co-workers. Make sure that whether they think they need it or not, they need to have it. And also the managers are we doing the assessments prior to starting the jobs, so which we have done prior to even this accident happening. We always do assessments, and based on that accident, we said there's no tolerance on us to keep the employees safe. Sure.
Yes, Mike.
Is just a point of clarification, is job 3 a new hire group?
It is a new hire group, yes.
Okay, so you have 50 people in the company right now?
Close to, yes.
So kind of 2 questions. One is, how do you, with such a small organization, how do you do the training? And how do you keep track of the results of the training to
Okay, so we're very good at record keeping. So we do a lot of Excels. We do have actually certified trainers that we currently hire for air conditioning and roofing. So we do have scheduled trainings for everything we do. So you should expect to get a clean record of our trainees.
And you're training everyone?
Everyone is trained, correct, from the office to the warehouse individual. It's all training, correct.
So we want you to be successful. So such a small organization, sometimes it's challenging to keep track of all the training and report it correctly. So I see somebody standing behind you that should be able to help you.
Exactly. So we have a lot of support, and hopefully if we meet again, you'll be pleased with the results.
Yeah, I think to Mike's point, 30% growth is actually a pretty large growth. Are you seeing some of those as turnover replacements, or are you seeing them all as purely we're growing the business by that much?
Yes, we've been very steady.
So it's more about growth of the business.
It's growth in the business, correct.
Yeah, because I think that's one of the hardest pieces with job creation is ensuring that they stay within the 90 days afterwards, as well as managing them going on as well. So it's just I see it as a large number at 30%. So just for success, just keep that in mind when you're looking. If you find it's not hitting, I would strongly recommend letting staff know to adjust to maybe if there's an increase in your incumbent workforce on the hours to be successful on the contract.
Right.
And I would just say when you come back, because I'm going to get this today, you mentioned certifications, to include that in your proposal for next time. Are and how that's impacting in a positive way the workforce to advance their careers. So
yes, correct. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions from the panel? I think Rick's about to make a motion, his hands there.
Yep, you got it. Motion to approve Grandmark Service Company, Inc., DBA Grandmark Roofing, contract number ET 24-0359, and the amount of $89,700.
I hear a second. Thanks, Mike. Any public comment?
No public comments.
Right, so we will go to vote, please.
Chris Dombrowski.
Aye.
Ricky Smiles.
Aye.
Rebecca Betancourt.
Aye.
Gretchen Newsom.
Aye.
Michael Hill.
Aye.
Jennifer Fothergill.
Aye.
Douglas Tracy.
Aye.
So we all approve, so the motion is adopted. Good luck.
Next, we have tab number 7. This is for Nighthawk Building Services, Inc. Ron, and we'll go to a future panel meeting. Tab 8 for North Star Energy Management LLC, doing business as Nova Source Power Services, has also been withdrawn and will go to a future panel.
Bill, please turn to tab 9. We'll now review the multiple employer contractors. Tab 9 is a proposal from the Economic Development Collaborative Ventura County. They're a repeat contractor requesting $236,160 to train a total of 240 retrainees. The Economic Development Collaborative Ventura County will coordinate with their participating employers to deliver training at their locations. This would be the organization's 5th ETP contract and 3rd in the past 5 years. Representative from the Economic Development Collaborative Ventura County is present to answer any questions from the panel.
Morning, Chair, members of the panel, staff, Bruce Densley, President, CEO, Economic Development Collaborative. Just very briefly, we're a regional economic development corporation, also a small business development center. I just want to say how appreciative we are of the resource that is the employment training panel. We integrate this tool into our toolkit in supporting business and their workers, and absolutely believe that workers are the #1 asset. Human capital is how we grow the economy. And this is a great resource for us. We're thrilled to be a partner with business in our region and happy to answer any questions. And with me today are Jamie Fall, our Director of Workforce and Economic Strategies, and Vivian Vasquez, our Senior Associate of the same.
Thank you. Does the panel have any questions?
I'm looking at active projects and workforce literacy pilot program in an approved amount of $226,000. Not seeing in what's presented to me movement of achieving that, but I am seeing in this same proposal that you're planning on doing skills upgrades for the farm workers. Can you talk to me about the status of this and how you're going to be successful there and here?
We'll share the answer.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you for the question. Yes, we certainly acknowledge the slow beginning that we've had for the workplace literacy project. We're pleased to report that we are now onboarding our first employer, and we also have a partnership with we're expanding the industries that we're looking at as well. We have a partnership with the lodging industry in Ventura County that we're going to be rolling out. And in spite of the slow start, we're confident that we're going to be able to achieve that ultimately. And expend those funds.
Going to say this into the record so that other applicants can hear this. The farm worker wage range is $25.01 to $30 an hour. Thank you.
I just want to build on a question actually based on question's question about prior performance. So we can see this being good prior performance, but we obviously have this literacy one. There's a line in here that concerns me a bit about the reasoning why the literacy hasn't, I'm going to say, started off or engaged, and it's around the engagement of employers. So how many of the employers that you're working with in this new contract have ever worked with ETP contracts or worked with yourselves through ETP contracts? Because it isn't, I'm going to say, the easiest always to manage what you're needing from the employers and those sides. Are these repeat employers you're working with, or are they new ones? And potentially you may have the same, I'm going to say, starting problems as you had with literacy with these employers.
So it's a mix, actually. We have some employers that are going to be continuing on, and some of them are new employers. Certainly, the way that I'm looking at it, we have the existing contract that's been going, it's been going well. We have those employers engaged. That this is the challenge with the literacy has been that it's an entirely new project and new design, and there are because of the emphasis on immigrants and refugees, there are people who haven't received the training previously that we're now engaging and that we're able to train. And the structure of English language learning training and how that can be successful is very different than an ISO type of training. So there are a number of challenges, not to sound like excuses, but it just has taken longer to get set up and get going.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
I'm just wondering if this is a systemic issue or whether it's an organizational issue. In other words, are you noticing this, are we noticing it across the state? Or is this something that is part of the approach that you're taking to the employers? Perspective on that?
So the challenge that, as I've seen it, is employers are actually very excited about the opportunity to provide the English language training to their employees. The challenge and the slow start has been establishing a structure, right? As I referenced earlier, it's easy to put together a 4-hour training that happens, one afternoon a month or whatever it might be. But to successfully do English language learning, that's something that has to happen multiple days over an extended period of time. And that's where many of our ag employers have had difficulty scheduling time that really is going to be meaningful, right? You can't do an 8-hour training one day. That just isn't a way to do English language learning. So it's been trying to think through that process of how they can put together sustained training over a period of time to give people, even the minimum 8 hours isn't very much for an English language learning training. So it's just presented challenges that we have not had with the regular ETP project. But I feel like we're making progress. We're providing some models to employers. And like I said, we're onboarding our first employer, and we're optimistic and know that we're making progress.
One other question is, are there barriers in our policy that's limiting your ability to create this training?
There are certain challenges that we're having to work around, but I think I really do believe it's more in what you're trying to accomplish here than it is a systemic type of barrier that we have to overcome. It just is a slower process.
Any other questions? I'll get to those in a minute. Any other questions on the proposal? Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve Economic Development Collaborative Ventura County in the amount of $236,160.
Second.
Thank you. Any public comments? I know I've got one up front, but online, do we have any? Public comments, yep.
Good morning. John Fox from San Bernardino Community College District. Mike, I want to address your question about challenges with the literacy pilot. SBCCD also has a literacy pilot contract, and it has been a very challenging contract to execute on. I think that there could be some structural issues within the requirements of the contract that could be adjusted to make it easier to perform on that. And my understanding is that other contract holders for the literacy pilot have been running into similar issues. So I think we would welcome a conversation with staff and even potentially presenting the panel with some alternatives that would help all of the literacy pilot contractors to be more successful. Thank you.
Right. Any other comments from the panel or questions on this proposal?
I have one, but they put their hand on, it looks like, so no more public comments.
Right, so no more public comments, no more comments or questions from the panel. So can we go to vote, please?
Kirsten Browski.
Aye.
Ricky Smiles.
Aye.
Rebecca Bancourt.
Aye.
Gretchen Newsom.
Aye.
Michael Hill.
Aye.
Jennifer Pottergill.
Aye.
Douglas Tracy.
Aye.
All right, so you got all ayes, the motion's adopted. Good luck.
Next up, we have tab 10. This is a proposal from South Bay Workforce Investment Board, Inc. They are a repeat contractor requesting $726,810 to train a total of 700 workers. Training will take place primarily throughout the greater Los Angeles region, and an updated curriculum was recently submitted with changes to productive lab courses. Representatives from South Bay Workforce Investment Board are here to address any questions.
Mr. Chair, Madam, members of the panel, my name is again Chris Cagle. I'm the Regional Affairs Manager at the South Bay Workforce Investment Board. I'm joined here with Michelle Reichner from Training Funding Partners, which assists us with administration of the project. I just want to take a moment to thank your staff. They're very responsive and helpful, and we have a great relationship with them. And also, I wanted to point out in our contract, you probably have noticed one of our last contract, the one we just finished, isn't showing 75% earned right now. But I can assure you all of our invoices have been submitted. They're with the staff. And I'm really confident when they get through with that paperwork, we will be over 100%. So again, thank you for your consideration. Happy to answer questions you may have.
Thank you. Does the panel have questions?
No. So it appeared that you did kind of a copy paste on your productive lab. We are paying attention. Thank you for submitting your revised productive lab that does not include such things as shop math, good manufacturing practices, blueprint reading, and cycle time management, et cetera. We are paying attention to this. I don't know if like for the record, like we have to submit the revised productive lab curriculum into this. So then others don't see what's posted on the agenda and be like, I'm going to go do that. So if staff can take the effort to take the revised curriculum and update everything, that would be great.
Yes, Mac.
I just want to make a comment about that. Typically the reason for that is because some of these employers are super small, like 5 to 10. So we're trying to leave some flexibility that maybe that is done and on the job, like they're actually doing, but I totally agree with you. And we did remove those topics. Thank you.
I'm curious. Go ahead.
Did you have a comment?
I just didn't know that the curriculum had been revised. So it sounds like there has been some discussions in a revised curriculum that didn't make it to the panel packet.
Correct. There's a new list of
It was
productive lab
distributed
curriculum.
this
So
morning.
perhaps you can address that in your motion. So maybe a motion to approve that would.
Do I have to
include-
state all the classes?
No, I think if you just say that the amended
I will.
curriculum,
Okay.
well, let's just make sure that the motion is to approve with this amended curriculum, of
Okay.
which
Okay.
staff
can do
will
that.
ensure that it gets put online as well.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Any other questions for anyone? I have this is me and curiosity with MEX and how are MEX being run. Who's delivering the training for the employers? Is it coming through South Bay WIB? Is it coming through vendors? Is it the employers themselves? Who's actually delivering the trainings?
It's the employers themselves.
Okay.
The workforce board doesn't actually do the training, but
Mhm.
we coordinate classroom training. And then the productive lab training comes from the employers.
Okay. And how are they qualifying their productive lab trainers?
So when we interview the employers and when we're deciding who's a good fit, we ask them lots of questions. And one in particular is how the training is going to be delivered. And we don't move forward unless they're telling us that they are certified, qualified experts in their field before we endorse it.
So it's the reliance on the employers, the same with quality of they are the ones delivering. You're just sort of playing, I'm going to say, the fiscal agent of allowing,
Yeah.
hey, there's
Mhm.
money back for your training, but you are acting as that fiscal agent
Right.
for that and for the contract rather than being the delivery of training. That's fine. Just wanted to check. Any other questions?
Are you, Madam Chair, comfortable with the new amount? It's a much higher amount than we've previously considered.
I think my only actual question to staff on this is depending on invoices coming in. So, we've been hearing they're confident they'll be at 100%. We're currently sitting at 14% of the number in front of me, and the panel packet is accurate. It's unusual for us to, it's going static here. I'm like, oh. Someone's making stuff. The fact that it's 14% at the moment, final invoice, we haven't got the final invoice number. are we able to award once we have final invoice, or what happens if for some reason they're not at 75%? That's, I think, what we're getting at, correct?
So thank you for the question, Madam Chair. So they have submitted and they are actually, we are looking at and going through all of the invoices.
Mhm.
We haven't assigned and completed all of them. It is expected based on what they've provided so far that they will meet that requirement.
Look at you and say, are you comfortable?
I'm good.
I'm good, yeah. Okay, just want to check.
I was gonna say, in addition to that, thank you for that. We actually, the demand is pretty high in the area, and we actually held back on a lot of invoicing just because we didn't want to overburden fiscal staff because we knew we were already over 100%. So the demand is much higher. We absolutely have, we're confident we'll under 100% of this contract.
Fantastic. Okay.
For the higher wages listed as well, I'm ready to make a motion if you're.
Go for it with that piece of paper in your hand.
Okay. I'm not gonna do it. Motion to approve the Southway Workforce Investment Board, Inc. and an ETP funding amount of $726,810 with the notion that the Productive Lab curriculum has been revised as shared this morning.
Second.
Thank you. Any public comment?
No public comments.
All righty, so we will move to vote.
Kirsten Browski. Aye. Ricky Smiles.
Aye.
Rebecca Betancourt.
Aye.
Gretchen Newsom.
Aye.
Michael Hill.
Aye.
Jennifer Fothergill.
Aye.
Douglas Tracy.
Aye.
So we're all in favor, so the motion is adopted.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so I'm not good at keeping time today. We apparently had a scheduled break at 10:45, so I think I'm being called that we need to take that break for 15 minutes. She's looking at me with this look going, no. So I am going to say it is, I'm going to go by that clock. It's 10:50, which means we need to be back here at 11:05. Training classes, bringing people back is really hard because we get sidetracked.
I agree.
All right, so we're going to continue on panel proposals. I think we're at tab 11. We are. I'm following well.
That's correct. If you will please turn to tab 11. Tab 11 is a proposal from the Chamber of the Chino Valley. They are repeat contractor requesting $528,780 to train a total of 660 retrainees. The Chamber of the Chino Valley will coordinate with participating employers to deliver training at their locations. This would be the organization's second ETP contract and the second in the past 5 years. Representative from the Chamber of the Chino Valley is present to answer any questions from the panel.
Good morning. My name is Ed Wellborn. I am President and CEO of the Chino Valley Chamber of Commerce. We're just grateful for the opportunity and we're happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Does anyone have questions on this proposal? Anyone else have any questions, comments?
Okay, one.
Okay. I don't know. I'm asking.
Just because. So from your last contract where you were awarded $249,845, the payment earned right now is at 0%, but it looks like you are well on track to earning 91% of your potential earnings. So I bring that up because now what's before us is essentially nearly doubling the amount that you anticipate to receive. Note the higher wages that are included in your packet. I very much support that and appreciate that. But if you could just elaborate for us on how you're going to be successful in meeting your contract and moving forward.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. And I'd like to have
Your mic's not on.
My mic is totally closer to me now.
It just doesn't want to behave today, does it?
Essentially, you're doubling the amount from the last contract. I note your high wages. Thank you for that and including that. But I just want you to elaborate for us on how you're going to be successful in meeting this contract and the new monies that are coming your way.
In the last contract, we were limited because it was a first-time contract in the amount that we were. Eve. Okay, sorry. We, in this contract, we have 660 people that are committed out of a total of employers that have 26, roughly 2,500 employees. So with that, we have enough of a pool to pull from to meet any additional funding that is being approved.
And just assurances that as you proceed forward specifically with the job titles listed in job number 2, so the laborers essentially and the plumbers and pipe fitters, just assurances that you're not training any of their apprentices. There's no crossover. So
yeah,
just thank you.
And I have letters from
you
the
have letters of
contractors
support,
saying
so.
they don't.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments, a motion?
Motion to approve the Chamber of the Chino Valley in an ETP funding amount of $528,780.
Second.
Thank you. Any public comment on this proposal?
No public comments.
All right, so we will go to vote.
Kirsten Brosky. Aye. Ricky Smiles.
Aye.
Rebecca Betancourt.
Aye.
Gretchen Newsom.
Aye.
Michael Hill.
Aye.
Jennifer Fothergill.
Aye.
And Douglas Tracy.
Aye.
All righty, so we're all in favor. It is adopted. Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
If you'll please turn to tab 12. Tab 12 is a proposal from the Fullerton Chamber of Commerce, DBA North Orange County Chamber. They are repeat contractor requesting $531,114 to train a total of 654 retrainees. The Fullerton Chamber of Commerce will coordinate with participating employers to deliver training at their locations. This would be the organization's third ETP contract and the third in the past 5 years. Representative from Fullerton Chamber of Commerce is present to answer any questions from the panel.
Good morning, panel. My name is Andrew Gregson. I'm President and CEO of North Orange County Chamber of Commerce, aka Fullerton Chamber of Commerce. So I wanted to firstly just actually thank you all for your time, and in particular, some of your staff. Kellen and Paula have been extremely helpful, and we really do appreciate that. Also with me today is somebody who you probably already know is Larry Mandel. So if there's any major questions, I'm sure he'll be able to answer them for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from the panel?
Madam Chair, do you have any concerns about the potential earnings earned from the last contract to then increasing the amount to this contract? It's high. It's
high.
85%.
It's over the threshold of right size, but I think I actually had a question on that around how are we looking at reaching 100% this time instead of 85? Because, you know, we like to overperform rather than underperform. And whenever we see repeats, we always like to see if they start at 85, then next time maybe they move up a bit. So can you help us better understand, especially as the amount is higher than last time? Because I would hate you to get 75 and then have to come in and be right sized for future. That's the worst case scenario. Best case is you come in, you hit 100 and it's all good. But how are we planning that success?
Similar to that for Chino, while we've asked for a confirmed or put in the proposal a smaller number, there are over 2,000 employees among the participating employers in the project.
So can I just ask a question? Because this is my clarity of who is actually running and managing this contract? Is it yourselves in partnership or is the community college? The chamber, explain the jet lag, the Chamber of Commerce is instead running. Who is truly running this program? Because I think sometimes that's where it affects performance sometimes. So who's truly out there in the outreach, helping to secure and making sure, hey, we're going to meet this 100%?
Both of us.
Okay. Okay. So obviously you were getting, sorry, interruption on that because I was like, it sounds like it's coming more from your side, Larry, than it does the chamber. And so that's why I was like, okay, where are we? So you're out there with the employers engaging. You've got about 2,000 employees, not employers, that you're expecting to hopefully be able to pull from for this contract.
Those 2,000 employees are, or 2,000 trainees are employees of the company. And as you can see from the 100B, in most instances, we're taking only a small piece for each company so that we could spread the money around. Okay. However, if it came a situation where we appeared to be running short with the existing trainees, we would be adding from the rest of the company. As mentioned earlier, we have our participating employers are doing the training themselves. So they're training everybody, not just the ETP people. And if we find that we're running short, if we're having extra money available, we just bring in the other trainees into the program to get to our 100%.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Mike.
If I'm looking at the people, the companies that you support, looks like there's 6 organizations
Right now, yes.
right now. Can you tell me about what's your approach to engaging these employers? How do you entice them to take advantage of the funds that you have available?
There's a couple things that we talk about. One, it's brought up, Andrew and I did a podcast, which appears on their site. We've done direct mail pieces to them. We have gone to some of the seminars that the chamber puts on and presented and talked about it there. Okay, some of them are clients that I've had in the past that we have talked to about coming onto the project. The chamber is doing a large outreach to develop new members right now. And with that, we would expect, if necessary, to bring any additional companies into the project, because after all, the chamber's goal is to increase business presence. And this is a good way to get companies involved.
So with only 6 organizations, that doesn't sound like a personal connection to me. It sounds like marketing. So why can't you go visit them?
Well, we do.
We do.
We do.
Oh,
Yeah, they just don't always want to.
In my 40 years in sales, admittedly, this is the most difficult sale I've ever had, which astonished me when I first got into this over 10 years ago. It's almost impossible to bring somebody in if they don't know about the product program already, without meeting them either during COVID, where we did Zoom meetings, or now going out to see them. Because to many of them, it sounds too good to be true.
Okay, any other questions? I have one, because as you've been talking, I'm listening and I'm like looking at the curriculum list. You have a lot of medical items in the curriculum list. Are you hoping to engage medical employers? Because I don't see any medical employers. Okay, so you don't have them in there. You have Tabor, Rebus, RBA Builders, Mark Beamish Waterproofing, K&D Real Estate, 40, and Follow Your Heart. So it's a lot of medical centered, as we're talking. It made me look at this as you were talking, 6 employers. Huge amount of medical curriculum on there, but there's not even a medical employer on the list of employment in the panel packet that I have in front of me.
Fortunately, I still have the Chino packet in front of me. THC of Orange County, which is Paramount Hospital, should have been on the 100B. That's for training nurses.
Yeah, that's not on here, unless I'm missing it. Someone double check me. I don't see it.
I don't see it.
And I'm assuming that's probably a large.
A&D Real Estate is Kindred Paramount. Kindred's a hospital chain.
So that's the hospital chain with the 77. Okay.
So weird.
I know.
Sorry.
So I'm looking at it going real estate. It's not a hospital. And then it's like, yeah. Yep.
I thought it was Paramount like movies, but
I know. So did I kind of think. It's Southern California. That's what my brain does. Okay. So I feel better about the medical skills. And then now I know that that's a hospital or medical facility. Any other questions? All righty. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve Fullerton Chamber of Commerce, DBA North Orange County Chamber in an ETP funding amount of $531,114.
Second.
Thank you. Any public comment?
No public comments.
Don't see anyone running to the front. Okay, so we will go to vote.
Chris Dombrowski.
Aye.
Ricky Smiles.
Aye.
Rebecca Betancourt.
Aye.
Gretchen Newsom.
Aye.
Michael Hill.
Aye.
Jennifer Fothergill.
Aye.
And Douglas Tracy.
Aye.
All righty, so the motion's adopted. You're funded.
Thank you.
Good luck. Thank you.
You'll please turn to tab 13. Tab 13 is a proposal from Grossmont Cuyamaca Community College District. Their repeat contractor requesting $127,240 to train a total of 20 new hire trainees. This would be Grossmont College's sixth ETP contract and third in the past 5 years. Representative from Grossmont College is present to answer any questions from the panel.
Good morning.
Good morning. I am Javier Ayala. I'm the Dean of Workforce Development and Career Technical Education at Grossmont College. And we're part of the Grossmont Cuyamaca Community College District. We are the only higher education provider in San Diego East County. We serve a population of about 500,000 individuals in San Diego East County. And so we're looking forward to participating in adding this opportunity to our workforce offerings. And I do want to also thank Paula and Ken and some of the other names that have been mentioned as well for helping us get here.
All right, thank you. Does the panel have any questions on the proposal?
I do, Madam Chair.
Okay.
So this is, for me, this proposal it is not what I'm used to seeing from Grossmont Cuyamaca Community College, of which I'm aware of. Value the community college immensely. You do excellent work in East County of San Diego. But this is a very different structure as to what you're proposing from what we've seen in iterations previously from Grossmont Cuyamaca. And this feels like it is a pass-through to the Grand Foundation, which is a private nonprofit, of which you're requesting an ETP funding amount of $127,240. And you're going to essentially retain or hire Grand Foundation to provide the continuous improvement skills for a fee of $104,000. And then the difference of those two numbers is going to Grossmont Community College for admin costs and service fees. So that it's not sitting very well for me. And I'm also noting the very, very high cost of the cost per trainee of being $6,362 with a pretty low post-retention wage. And I'm not seeing the connection to their new hires. So I'm not seeing the connection to these trainees being employed and having the clear path to a high road job with how this is presented to me. So I'm very uncomfortable with this proposal as it is. And my thoughts and feelings, one, I want to hear from you on this. Why the drastic change in the model? And where are you going with this?
Sure. And that's a terrific question. So, for Grossmont Cuyamaca College, we primarily focus on transfer. We transfer the largest number of community college students to state in the whole county. And we are looking to really do something different because what we found in San Diego East County is that 60% of high school students don't pursue anything beyond high school. And what we found is that many of our students and adult population want to see more skilled trade type of opportunities. And in my area, I've been tasked with expanding skilled trades, especially around manufacturing, because we have a large manufacturing base in San Diego East County. However, we also don't have the facility for it at Grossmont College. So what we've done is looked at doing something innovative and different and partnering directly with our manufacturers in San Diego East County, a group of 10 that includes QCMI. I sit on the chamber, I sit on multiple boards, and I felt that this was something innovative to do. We have the staff at Grossmont College to do lots of the work around this, employee relations, job placement, all those things. So the opportunity presented itself, and we felt that this can add an opportunity to our students, which we have about 20,000 students, about 800 veterans at Grossmont College. We have several hundred students that are formerly incarcerated that are looking for an opportunity like this. So that's why we pursued it. So it is different, but
It's very different. We also, I've received from staff notification that we do have an active ETP contract with QCMI, Quality Controlled Manufacturing, Inc., for an amount of $99,452. And Grand Foundation and QCMI are owned and operated by the same person. It's the same facility. So that's raising even more red flags for me of like, this isn't
so we are
feeling
the
right.
fiscal. I just want to, we are the fiscal, and part of the process, we're not going to invoice until the results are there. So the idea is to beta test this in a good way, because we do have the partnerships in San Diego East County. And really, we have the structure at the college to do lots of the legwork around this. I wouldn't be here unless I felt this is something we can provide to our community and be successful at. We've had multiple contracts in terms of our contract attainment, spent from 80% to 93%. And we do deliver, and we, bill accordingly, according to what the contract says. We don't go above and beyond that. I've had a chance to work with QCMI, some of the other employers, and I feel confident with the cadre of individuals that would be doing the training. Many of them have 20 years experience in doing the manufacturing training. Some of them are many of the 4 to 6 that I know of are Six Sigma certified, so they can do the additional training that needs to be done for the 20 individuals. It's not a big number. That's another reason. So we wanted to try out something small, as opposed to coming forward and saying, give us $800,000 to do this. This is, we're cautious about it. It's not something we normally do, but as a dean, I feel we have the capacity and human resources to be able to do something like this.
I have a question that's sort of fiscal, sort of about the partnership. You state in a proposal, it's a 320-hour training. Are you basically taking the funds that we give you, and then you're asking the employee, I guess, because they're not necessarily employed, because they're basically not employed. So how are we closing that gap? I thought it was interesting to mention it in here, that you're looking for 260 hours of funding, which is right. They are unemployed. It's about getting them into the world of work. But the training is 320 hours. Who's taking that deficit in hours?
Or
paying for it, I guess.
So why not 320? Is that kind of?
No, so you say it's a 320-hour training program. You're requesting 260 hours, which is per individual, which is the maximum we can give. Who is someone responsible to pick up the remaining charge, or is it just waived because you've got the 260 hours and they just continue, I'm going to say free of charge, or is someone paying that difference in their training hours?
Right. So I mean, it's a partnership. It's 10 organizations pulling together to do something collectively, because otherwise, if they did it on their own, it would be more expensive. So there's in-kind contributions, there's shared resources between the 10 organizations.
So a trainee will not see a cost. The remaining hours are picked up somewhere else by some other fund.
Right.
Okay.
Through the foundation. So the foundation is a workforce intermediary. We're the fiscal, we have the staff to corroborate what's actually happening on a regular basis.
So it'll be zero cost to the trainee, but the employer may pick up, or you.
Right, exactly.
And do you have employers, I'm going to say, lined up who would be willing to employ students out of this program? Is there a characteristic of that program that is like, hey, it makes them employable, it makes them better than the average? Or have we started that conversation around, hey, we're going to have these individuals, are you interested, et cetera?
Yes. So we're not creating something new. This is a program that's been in existence for a while, where I've assessed it. Where after assessing the program, we feel like this has got proof of concept, and it's offering something that we haven't been able to offer in the past. In terms of the employers themselves, we have 10 employers that are clustered around manufacturing. And I don't think I'll answer the wage question too. There's opportunities there there's entry. So we have a lot of individuals that are underserved, second chance, formerly incarcerated. So there's an entry wage, but there's lots of wage progression after 6 months. When I looked at the data in terms of wage, there's about 10 levels of progression that eventually land an individual at making $40 an hour. So.
Okay.
Does this arrangement create any complications in tracking the training and recording?
We've had 6 ETP contracts. I think this would be our 6th, complicated. So we have staff that does the recording, the tracking. I have a job placement person, a couple job work, 3 work-based learning individuals, 2 employee relations individuals that do a lot of the tracking and admin support for this. We have a whole
So you have
infrastructure.
the staff, but this, I understand, is a different model, and there's an intermediary. So
The grant is,
an extra set of hands involved.
in terms of doing the training and coordinating the training and assisting us with the training itself. Because we don't have a manufacturing facility at Grossmont College. So this is one way for us to offer this opportunity to our residents in East County.
So somebody else is tracking really the real training.
Oh, no, we're
and
tracking.
giving that to you?
Yeah. No, we're tracking it through our,
You track it directly?
yeah, we would track it directly through our job placement person, employee relations individual that goes to the sites, works with the employers. Similarly to what we did the last prior ETP grants.
Oh, what?
It's a bit wishy-washy is what I'm going to say. It's not clear as mud is what I think is the right way of putting it. Yeah, of course you can.
So just to make sure that I'm tracking with you, I think what I'm hearing is that you are still serving as a fiscal agent, tracking the administrative pieces, but you're partnering with this Grande Foundation to help coordinate the training because the current facility capacity does not include manufacturing.
Exactly.
So in order to have the right equipment and training available, you've outsourced it to this organization. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
But there's not for myself and my priorities, there's not the connection clearly evident to me of the worker being trained to the job and to the employer. So my preference is that I would like to see this item tabled or fixed in a way where you're listing out the prospective employers that are going to take these students that you trained and put them into those high road jobs. And I can't see that today. Other community colleges, and you're used to this to yourself as well, have listed out their employers and how many are going to be trained, et cetera. This does not do that. And so it's not meeting my metric of success of combining the training to the worker to the job.
Panel member Newsom, just to clarify, for a new hire proposal, the 100B is not required to be submitted as part of the package. However, Grossmont College did have a 100B submitted as part of it as a an addendum or as part of their package as is requested, but it was not in the final proposal. They did have that available, and I'm sure Dean could speak to that if
That would be helpful.
necessary.
So yes, we
Pull
did.
it up and send it somewhere into the
Yeah,
Ethernets.
We did include that, and we've been working with the ETP specialists on this. So whatever they asked for, we submitted, and that was a list of employers that we submitted as well.
Yeah, I know where your uncomfortableness in some ways is. I think the other thing, and I'm back on prior performance because we always look back at that as well. It's been hovering, I'm going to say, in the 80s. You started with 93% on one back in 18 to 20. Then the last one was 80%. This one, similar kind of amount of money. I think we just want you to be really successful with it. I think the model can work. It's about how do we make sure it's then applicable for that employee, that new employee, when they get on the job. Totally understand the employer will train them as well. But it's about that success and ensuring your success in the contract as well. Just at the moment, it feels a tiny bit kind of like it's up in my head. I've got the idea, not feeling fully ready to execute. I don't know if that's what the others are feeling. So maybe it's like, help convince us how, I'm going to say, confident you are that we'll hit the 100%, 95% versus 80 when this one comes to fruition and closure as a contract.
I could share that in the prior performance that we had. we only had one staff member implementing the ETP grant. We have 5 individuals now that are part of the workforce development infrastructure for the college that will be part of this.
Okay.
So we're staffed in the way that we weren't before.
Okay.
Want to talk about the employers that are listed somewhere and
Sure.
elsewhere?
I can pull them up on my phone if that's
Oh.
okay.
Well, it's that, or I make a motion to table this until next meeting.
Definitely don't want you to make that motion, but let me put my glasses on here. Apologies.
Or Kellen, if you have it and you can read it into the
Pull 'em
record.
up. Okay. All right. So we have QCMI, yeah, AI Tech Machining, GKN, Precision Machining, Precision Metals, Senior Aerospace, Solar Turbines, Thor Knives. I have some more there, Kellen, but I just don't have them all listed here. Thor Knives, Fifth Axis. So I have the list, and that's what we sent over. So
Essentially, these trainees receive this training off campus at Grand Foundation / whatever else they call themselves, QCMI. And then they are given a job with one of these employers. And the employers are working collaboratively with you to hire
Right.
these.
and we as a college work with our career center, do the recruitment, do the skill, career assessment. So all this is integrated in that fashion. It's different, but at the same
It's fair,
time,
it's different.
Yeah,
It's different.
different is good sometimes.
I've seen a kind of similar model, but slightly different, that has worked. But getting them into the right workplaces is the biggest challenge.
And again, we didn't have a job placement specialist. We have a person who's totally dedicated to that 100%. And the other TP contracts, it was me and one other person. Now we have a job placement specialist, work-based learning, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? No? Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve Grossmont Cuyamaca Community College District in an ETP funding amount of $127,240.
Second.
Did she read the wrong
100
one?
and
127, no, 127, 240 is what I have in front of me.
Did I just not say that?
Thought
Said
you
or
did.
phrased? I think
I thought you did.
Maybe
Oh,
I'm
he's going off.
I'm looking,
Oh, mine's gonna have a different.
looking at a different number, 131, but maybe that's wrong.
I'm going off. of
So Callum, the correct amount is 127,240, correct?
Right, that's what we submitted.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Okay.
I know,
Sorry.
yeah, it is, it's incorrect on that one.
We have a
Yeah.
typo elsewhere.
Okay.
Yep.
My
And
mistake.
correct, and part of the motion, it sounds like.
It is correct in the motion, yes.
Thank
So
you
we
for
have
the
the motion
A second.
and a second. Do we have any public comment?
No public comments.
No one's running to the front, so we will move to vote.
First Dombrowski. Aye. Ricky Smiles.
Aye.
Rebecca Betancourt.
Aye.
Gretchen Newsom.
Aye.
Michael Hill.
Aye.
Jennifer Fothergill.
Aye.
Douglas Tracy.
Aye.
Alrighty, so we all approve, so the motion's adopted. You are funded for the program. Good luck.
Thank you.
I look forward to hearing how it goes.
You'll please turn to tab 14. Tab 14 is a proposal from South Orange County Community College District Saddleback College. Their repeat contractor requesting $663,960 to train a total of 680 retrainees. Saddleback College will coordinate with participating employers to deliver training at their locations and at their own campuses. This would be the college's third ETP contract and second in the past 5 years. A representative from Saddleback College is present to answer any questions from the panel.
Good morning, panel. Thank you for having me here. My name is Israel Dominguez. I am the Director of Economic Workforce Development at Saddleback College. And joining with me is Jessie Chang. She's the Economic Workforce Development Program Coordinator at Saddleback College.
All right, any questions from the panel on this one? I'm hearing crickets. I'm hearing no questions or comments. No comments, no questions. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve South Orange County Community College District Saddleback College, the amount of $651,960.
Do I hear a second?
Oh, hold on, clarification. We have a different funding amount in the panel packet than what panel member Mike Hill.
Just for some clarification, it looks like the tally sheet numbers may
Tally
be
sheets are not right.
inaccurate. So please, when you're doing your motions, if you could utilize the number that's indicated in the panel packet, that would be good.
I'm correct here.
You want to
And how
correct
get
it,
to
Mike?
That number?
663,960.
Yeah.
The combined.
What was that motion? I apologize.
$663,960.
Motion to approve.
Motion
Yeah.
to approve.
So thank you. Any public comment?
No public comments.
All right, we will move to vote.
Kirsten Browski. Ricky Smiles.
Aye.
Rebecca Betancourt.
Aye.
Gretchen Newsom.
Aye.
Michael Hill.
Aye.
Jennifer Fothergill.
Aye.
Douglas Tracy.
Aye.
Right, the motion's adopted. You're funded. Good luck with it. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, all of you.
Okay, panel members, thank you, and please turn to tab 15. This is a training proposal for City of Richmond. It's a priority industry and a repeat contractor. Total ETP funding being requested today is for $103,500. This is to train 20 estimated number of trainees under job one as new hire, at-risk youth, ex-offender, and individuals with multiple barriers. Training will be taking place at Richmond's at its Richmond's facility. And the project will be its sixth ETP contract and its second in the last 5 years. And here today to answer your questions are the company representative.
Good morning, Tamara Walker. I am the Deputy Director of Community Services for Employment and Training. Long title, new title. I am the Director of the Richmond Workforce Development Board.
Thank you. Any questions from the panel on this proposal?
Ms. Walker, it appears to me in my kind of nuanced background that this is a pre-apprenticeship program.
It is, and we are now a approved DAS pre-apprenticeship program.
Excellent. Congratulations on
Thank
that standing, and I wish you the best on this.
Any other questions, comments?
Motion to approve the City of Richmond and an ETP funding amount of $103,500.
Second.
Any public comment? Doesn't look like it.
No public comments.
All right, so we will move to vote.
Kirsten Browski. Aye. Ricky Smiles.
Aye.
Rebecca Betancourt.
Aye.
Gretchen Newsom.
Aye.
Michael Hill.
Aye.
Jennifer Fothergill.
Aye.
And Douglas Tracy.
Aye.
We're all in alignment, so you are approved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, we have tab 16. This is a proposal from Greater Modesto Chamber of Commerce. They are a new contractor requesting $408,606 to train a total of 302 workers. Training will take place throughout San Joaquin, Stanislaus, and Tulare counties. Representatives from Greater Modesto Chamber are here to address any questions.
Hi, good morning. My name is Trish Christensen. I'm President and CEO of the Modesto Chamber of Commerce. We are a large chamber in Stanislaus County, rapidly reapproaching 800 members as a recovery since coming out of COVID.
Thank you. Does anyone have questions on this proposal?
You've listed a pretty low post-retention wage of a minimum of $17 an hour. I can see in your proposal the wage progression of these trainees moving up. So I commend you on that and thank you for that. My preference would be to have a higher post-retention wage going forward. I'm willing to be nice today on things, but if you come back around, I fully expect to see a much higher post-retention wage. Thank you.
I have a couple of questions. We see a lot of panel proposals coming through. This is kind of my local ballpark. And I'm always curious when I see local employers coming in and who's coming in from the local region and things. On this proposal, there are several who have active single employer contracts. So I could name them for you: Varney Brothers, Florey Industries, because I was chairing when we were approving them. So I know they have active contracts that are about a year old. The numbers that were stated in your 100B are not the same numbers that they reported to us in their proposals of active employees. And also they're working through their contracts. How are you going to manage those that have, I'm going to say, active single employer contracts? You may be providing training to them. How are you guys working together to make sure you're not getting one cut out of one contract and not the other? Because obviously you cannot be an active trainee in both contracts.
Understood.
And the misaccuracy of data just worries me a bit in the 100B when I know that, and some of the numbers were widely different. So that's why I wanted to just
So the
probe on them.
numbers that we populated, we pulled from their member profiles. So those are
Okay.
not always current. It's who do they have at a given time, once a year, sometimes it's once every other year that they go in and update numbers like that for us.
Okay.
But in the relationship between as longstanding members, which all of these are, I have one dedicated staff member now. He's begun sitting with these members, talking through this as they have new hires come on most often, or they finish a training with one and they want to put them through something else when they've closed theirs. We're kind of, it's in ready mode for us.
Okay, I would just really encourage with single employer versus not putting into MEX. I'm okay about an employer having people in MEX and people in single, but I think as the MEC holder, being clear of who has single and knowing where those employees are being trained or not is just important, because it's going to affect your performance or their performance
Can't
one way.
claim one
Yeah,
person
we
twice.
understand. We understand
So
that.
is it, it's a good catch. Is it the same consultant for the singles?
No,
It's not the same. So
no, they came in
again, that
separately.
collaboration and
Yes, and we know there's other members that will participate. We kind of wanted to start with this group that we're familiar with, get off the ground ourselves, and then we will grow from there.
I just want both to be successful. So
Thank you, as do I.
thank you. Any other questions, comments?
motion to approve the Greater Modesto Chamber of Commerce and an ETP funding amount of $408,606.
Second.
Any public comment?
No public comments.
So we'll go to vote.
Chris Dombrowski. Aye. Ricky Smiles.
Aye.
Rebecca Betancourt.
Abstain.
Gretchen Newsom.
Aye.
Michael Hill.
Aye.
Jennifer Fothergill.
Aye.
Douglas Tracy.
Aye.
All righty, so you are all funded.
Thank
Good
you.
luck
Thank
with
you
it.
for your time today. Next up is tab 17. This is an agriculture initiative proposal from Fowler Packing Company, Inc. They are a repeat contractor requesting $93,288 to train 169 workers. Training will take place at their 2 locations in Fresno County. Representative from Fowler Packing Company is here to address any questions.
Hello, panel. My name is Brett Zoll. I'm the Vice President of Human Resources for Fowler Packing. I want to thank you for considering our application. Thank you to Jesse Dungallo for helping with the application, and thank you for prior contracts.
Thank you. Any questions or comments on this proposal?
You know, I'm going to, yeah, okay. Here we go. In October 2016, approximately 20,500 seasonal agricultural workers filed a wage and hour class action lawsuit against Fowler Packaging and the Ag Force, a farm labor contractor, alleging various state and federal labor laws were violated between March of 2011 and January 2019. These violations included the following: failing to pay all wages due to including overtime pay, failure to provide rest breaks and meal periods, requiring off-the-clock work and allowing the use of quote-unquote ghost workers, failure to record and or pay for travel time and wait time, including use of personal vehicle expenses, failure to provide necessary tools or reimburse for tools, and underpaying workers in general. Since 2018, all parties of the lawsuit engaged in discovery and attended private mediations where a settlement agreement was reached. Then in January 2023, a district court in California approved the class action lawsuit settlement against Fowler Packing and Ag Force for $7.8 million. The filing date of the lawsuit and the time of duration when the labor laws were violated run concurrent to 2 of Fowler's previous ETP contracts, that of ET 16-0210 and that of ET 19-0151. So that happened. And then the settlement occurred pretty recently. So talk to me a little bit about what has occurred since then. How are you uplifting worker voice to make sure these kinds of things never occur again? And that you're being more holistic with your workforce?
Well, of course, we didn't wait till the settlement to fix the issues. A few things have happened since the class action was filed. A new CEO started in 2018, and he started making changes. And then I started as the head of HR in 2020. So going back since around 2017, 2018, we created a piece rate payroll processing software to ensure compliance when we're paying our employees piece rate. Also, we spend annually $20,000 on a third party to audit our wage and hour records. So we audit it ourselves constantly because we want to ensure we're paying our employees correctly, but we don't even want to trust ourselves. We want a third party to come in and ensure that we're paying our employees correctly. So that's the changes that have been made going back years now, and we certainly didn't wait for the settlement to make those changes.
Thank you for that. You mentioned it in your testimony just now, piece rate. Talk to me more about that because that sends all kinds of red flags to me. What does that mean exactly? And how can you assure each worker that they are receiving the minimum post-retention wage of $16.91?
Great question. It is a very confusing topic, and I'm not even an expert on it, but our computer programming department has created this software. And one thing I do understand, the software does not allow for anything under a minimum wage payment. And then it ensures that what's very important is if there's a late lunch, it's automatically a meal period violation. And then
you're paying that worker to compensate them for that.
It's automatic. It's no human, it's automatic. It's the software that processes the payroll. And then furthermore, not to keep on reiterating, a third party on an annual basis looks at that data and to ensure that we're doing it correctly.
Talk to me a little bit more about piecemeal rate. And so what comes to mind for me is the grapes of wrath and workers picking peaches until their backs break.
Yes.
And then if they don't get a certain number of peaches or a certain weight, then they're not receiving their compensation.
That's a great question. And even I was not in ag until I started with Flower Packing in 2020. And I just assumed harvesters made around the minimum wage. So our average grape harvesters average about $25 an hour. And our mandarin harvesters will go up to about $30 an hour on average. So it's way above minimum wage.
Can I just check something?
Yeah.
This contract does not read at the moment anything about piecemeal.
Yeah.
So are you the wages we have in here on these employees, they are not affected by the piecemeal, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. That is a fact.
I just want to double check because as you said that, I'm like, I don't see it, but I wanted to double check.
Mrs. Newsom brought up because of the wage an hour had to do with piece rate. So, and that's why I wanted to address the piece rate software.
And talk to me a little bit more about what you're doing now before the settlement was reached to uplift worker voice so that as violations may be alleged.
Great question.
How are you uplifting?
So even before I started, we implemented a confidential 800 phone number that our employees can call in confidentially 24/7 to voice complaints if they're not comfortable going to their supervisor or human resources. We have multiple human resources employees. I've built up my staff, that visit employees out in the fields or in the packing house. So if, they're not comfortable talking to their supervisor, they can talk to HR. So that's constantly happening. Even in the packing house with our night shift, we have an HR present so they can talk to HR.
You also offer the opportunity for the workers to speak collectively per shift to management. So amongst themselves, like engaging with management and HR kind of like all
Yeah,
together.
absolutely. Those meetings happen impromptu or set. We definitely encourage that.
Any other questions? Go ahead, Mike.
I'm just curious, are you a publicly traded company or?
No, we're
private?
privately held, family owned. It's in the third generation of the family owning the company. It was founded in 1950.
So you don't have a board of directors then?
Well, there's a private board of directors, but we're not a publicly traded company.
Are any of the workers a member of that private board of directors?
No, it's this
Suggestion to
yeah, good question.
really encourage you to look into.
Okay.
Were the, you described some of the HR changes, you said, were those changes a result of the settlement or happened before? Just kind of give a timeline on sort of some of these HR
Yeah,
changes.
it's hard for me to speak before I was hired. Just with the new CEO coming on board, he helped make changes with HR and then ultimately decided for HR, and that's why I started. And I can speak from when I started. I increased the staff, for HR and training and the safety department as well. And it wasn't like, I don't want to like completely put down what was happening before. I just, there was definitely just room for improvement, and I made improvement.
Last question, does this family own other businesses?
Well, as mentioned in the class action, they own AgForce, the farm labor contracting company. So that's why it was both together.
Do you have a contract with AgForce?
They had a COVID pilot contract, but I believe it's already closed.
Any other questions?
Motion to approve. Yeah, look at that relief. Motion to approve Fowler Packing Company and ETP funding amount of $93,288. And thank you for making these changes.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity.
Okay, and do we have any public comment? Because we've got a motion.
No public comments.
Right, then we will move to vote.
Kirsten Browski.
Aye.
Ricky Smiles.
Aye.
Rebecca Betancourt.
Aye.
Gretchen Newsom.
Aye.
Michael Hill.
Aye.
Jennifer Fothergill.
Aye.
Douglas Tracy.
Aye.
All right, so all aligned and approved. The motion is adopted and you're funded.
Thank you so much.
Okay, next up is tab 18. This is also an agriculture initiative proposal and is from Mariani Packing Company, Inc. They are a repeat contractor requesting $210,680 to train 229 workers. Training will take place at their two locations in Marysville and Vacaville. Representatives from Mariani Packing Company are here to address any questions.
Good morning, almost afternoon. My name is Sol Borges. I'm an HR generalist for Mariani Packing, and I appreciate your consideration for our project.
Any questions or comments?
Looking at past performance, and in the most recent contract, it shows only 66% of payments earned. So you have right-sized the proposal to being what you earned last time around. But could you talk to us a little bit more on how you anticipate achieving 100% this time around?
Yes. So the reason why we fell a little behind, it was because we made a big move in our facility. So one of our areas, our 4 departments, mainline, ingredients, packing line, were located on the left side of the facility, and drivers, employees had to walk outside. So that was causing concerns for food safety. So we decided to move it inside the facility, those 4 departments, but that caused a lot of improvements on the area where the machinery is going to be moved. So we had to start last year from floor, ceilings, utilities, electricity, building all of that from ground. And that gave us also opportunity to bring new machinery. So that's why we believe we can, even exceed our new contract because we'll be bringing new machinery, dryers, blend techs with new technology that will provide a lot of opportunities for our employees for training.
A portion of your proposal also touches upon kind of quality of life issues with the workforce. And you mentioned that Mariani improves employees' quality of life by offering comprehensive healthcare benefits. Thank you. Including dental and vision and a matching 401k retirement contributions up to 5%. Approximately what percentage of your workforce is participating in that 401k in order to receive the matching 5%?
So about 60% of our employees are participating.
What are you doing to educate the workforce of this opportunity to ensure a greater number of your workers are participating?
So we're actually going to start working closely with our 401k provider upcoming in the few months. They'll be coming up to the facility and provide more one-on-one conversations with employees. They'll be sending out flyers, emails. Another thing that we're considering is when we get to the employee anniversary date, it gave them the opportunity to increase 1% to their contribution, and also the company will match that. So we're trying to explore other options for employees to take advantage of the benefits that we offer.
Would you say that the bulk of those that are not participating are in the production unit and that there may or may not be a language barrier?
I believe, yes, on our production area, but we do have on our provider for 401k Spanish speaker representative that come to the facility.
And then those flyers will be produced in multiple languages.
Yes, we're looking for different communication for this new process that we're looking and engaging.
Any other comments, questions?
Motion to approve Mariani Packing Company and an ETP funding amount of $210,680.
Second.
Any public comment?
No public comments.
All right, so we will go to vote.
Kristen Browski. Aye. Ricky Smiles.
Aye.
Rebecca Betancourt.
Aye.
Gretchen Newsom. Michael Hill.
Aye.
Jennifer Fothergill.
Aye.
And Douglas Tracy.
Aye.
All right, so we're all aligned and you're approved for this contract.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Okay, last up, we have tab 19. This is an agriculture initiative proposal from Tulare Kings Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, Incorporated. They are a new contractor requesting $615,000 to train 500 workers. Training will take place throughout Tulare and Kings County. Representatives from Tulare Kings Hispanic Chamber are here to address any questions.
Thank you, members of the panel. My name is Vincent Salinas. I'm president of the Tulare Kings Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. We were established in 1993, and we've been an inclusive organizations from the beginning. But I'd like to make one comment. I feel kind of proud today. I grew up as a farm worker family. I went picked through the fields of Kern, King, Tulare, and Fresno County. I've been through the strikes and boycotts of the Great Period. They paid my way to college, and it's kind of a proud moment to be here in front of you today. I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
All right. Any questions?
Thank you for sharing that. Very proud of you as well. So I did have some questions pertaining to, this is your first contract. It is for a very large amount of $615,000. We always want our contractors and employers to be 100% successful on this. So there's a level of uncomfortableness of this amount of like, is this the right amount with this being your first time contract and it being kind of the concept of a chamber of commerce with an agricultural initiative? And I need you to talk to me a little bit more about the connection from the Chamber of Commerce to the employer to the worker and how that worker is going to receive their training and advance themselves with wage progression. Talk to me a little bit more about that connection.
Sure. In fact, one of the employers we have listed is Marquez Brothers. The CEO is on the board of directors of the Hispanic Chamber. Reese Foods, Fred Reese himself is a founding member of the Tulare Kings Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. We helped Rosa Brothers go from dairy to productions as an SBDC consultant to him. And we have a relationship with Roa Nursery. They were a member of the chamber. We developed a relationship by working with the Porterville Chamber with Seton Pistachio Farms. So yes, we have a relationship and we met with most of them already and had phone conversations.
Can you talk to me a little bit more about the wage progression of the workers? So they're going to receive this training through you with the employer. What does it look like for those individual workers? This is it's a difficult question to answer because you're a MEC and you're not a single employer. So you have a little bit less of that connection directly to the workforce. So what evidence do you have of that wage progression?
Well, right now, both Reese Foods and Marcus Brothers have an entry level of $17.49. Minerva Nurseries at $17, and I believe Sin Farms is at $17 an hour. So as we discussed that with Marcus Brother in detail, typically there's an increase after they finish their training. So most of them already plan to increase their beginning wages once they finish their training.
Any other questions? I have one around your productive lab. When I look at the topics, I'm just wondering the choice of productive lab and the occupations versus classroom simulated lab options. So that's why I just wanted to get a bit more of an idea of what you're doing in productive lab. I see forklift driver, makes me nervous sometimes. Depending on what they're doing, it may work as productive lab, but can you give us a bit more about the type of productive lab trainings these people will be doing?
Most of them will have, some of them will have hands-on training because that's the nature of the business or the employment. A lot of them will start off in classroom training. When we look at dairy farms, typically it's all automated. So most of them are going to have the hands-on with automation. So there's going to be a working classroom and some of them are going to be handling the machinery and so forth.
So a working classroom is different than productive lab, and that's what I want to make sure we're clear. Productive lab is back out on the job, on the actual machinery. A simulated lab or classroom would be the equipment in the classroom, or we're not running production today, the line's down, we're working out there. That is classed more as that lab classroom. Productive lab is, it's taking at least 2 people to make the product or do the work. So that's why I want to check, because your definition there was slightly different than what the outline of productive lab is. It's
Yes.
okay.
When it comes to Reese Foods, typically they're classroom settings, and typically they bring in the items into that particular classroom setting. As to Marcus Brothers, it's basically similar items. Morova, since they're out in the field most of the time, it's mostly besides classroom is actual.
I would say just make sure when you're working with these employers, you're very clear on your sign-in sheets about what is productive lab with them and what is classroom, what I call simulated lab, because it does affect on your reporting and the rest and the hours that you can have against productive lab.
The current ratio that you've proposed for a trainer to trainee is 1:3. Our standard best practice is 1:1. Would you be more comfortable increasing that ratio to 1:2?
I'm okay on the 1:3 ratio. It's more about making sure it truly is productive lab, not because the other thing is it would cut your hours from people, because we're saying you're only going to have 10 hours of productive when you could have 40 hours or 60 hours of classroom, or even 200 if you want to, of classroom with simulated labs where you're bringing the equipment into the classroom. It truly is just making sure you're really using it where productive lab is defined.
We'll make sure they're fully clear on that.
It's just the guidance more than anything. Any other questions, comments? All right then.
Motion to approve the Tulare Kings Hispanic Chamber of Commerce Incorporated an ETP funding amount of $615,000. Wish you the best.
Second.
Any public comment?
No public comments.
All right, then we will move to vote.
Chris Dombrowski.
Aye.
Ricky Smiles.
Aye.
Rebecca Bancourt.
Aye.
Gretchen Newsom.
Aye.
Michael Hill.
Aye.
Jennifer Fothergill.
Aye.
And Douglas Tracy.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. So the motion's adopted, you are funded. Good luck with it. What do you want to do? could, I'm going to look at Jaime. I'm looking at my timekeeper and my compliance secretary over in the corner of my eye. He has not sent me a text. We have two presentations. I know we originally was at 12:30. We have to make sure we have a lunch. So we have two presentations, public comment. Are we wanting to break, then come back and do those? How, I'm looking at you guys for how you want me to handle this.
So Madam Chair, if we're able to finish before 1 p.m. in total, we are okay going up to that point.
Okay.
Anything beyond 1 o'clock, we will need to take a break. Ideally,
He doesn't give me the decision, does he? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. You never know what's going to happen. Things go all over the place.
ideally, that the reason why we set at 12:30 is because it makes it clear.
It makes
for
it very
us.
clear on that side, yes.
Correct. But as long as we can finish before 1 o'clock, we're okay. If we believe public comment will go fairly quickly, then we would be okay.
How are we feeling? I'm looking at you like you can make that decision for me.
Also, my presentation with Willie will be about 5 minutes. So
Oh, that's even
we're
better.
Looking for planning.
That's even
Yeah,
better.
it's-
You know,
it's
we
only
get,
3
you know, we can start getting hangry as well.
Hey, I can
so-
talk really fast. I'm pregnant. I want to get out for lunch.
You're on
too,
that
so
side, yeah.
I'm here for it.
You're here for us. I'm just checking because I know that Gretchen does have to step away. Are you
Apologies.
leaving?
For the record, I will be stepping out at 12:25.
Okay, just so everyone knows, if you want Gretchen's feedback, she's here till 12:25.
Well, if Gretchen's gone, then it's going to go really quick, you know? Well, I don't know. Rebecca, you're still here. So
I'm
I
still
don't-
here, but Mike's getting there. It's okay.
I'm just teasing. I respect both of you very
All right.
much for the record.
I'm on the wrong time zone totally still, so it's okay. Try transatlantic, kids under 3. Yeah, it's great fun. Okay, regret sometimes. All right, time for presentations. And I don't remember which order we're doing. I think it's civic makers first, correct? Yep.
Correct. I'm gonna need to.
They've also informed me they will be very quick.
Awesome.
Hi, can you hear me? Raise your hand if you can. Great, can hear me. Okay, excellent. Thank you so much. We heard everything loud and clear. I will try to speak quickly. My name is Judy Brown. I am the managing partner and co-founder of Civic Makers. I'm joined with Britt, my colleague who's been managing this project and the work that we've been doing with ETP. We, just for the record, are a certified small business with the state of California. We're a woman-owned business. We're an LGBT-owned business. We 100% believe in the mission and vision of ETP, and we're honored to support this work. So without further ado, I'm going to get us into this presentation here, which hopefully everyone can see. Thanks, Britt, for the thumbs up. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly go through the timeline and activities, particularly for this work on apprenticeships. We were brought in to help support reviewing ETP's apprenticeship funding process to evaluate efficiency, equity, work with a working group to determine where we might be able to find some low effort and high impact wins to further the efficacy of apprenticeship programs. This has been with a diverse and representative sample of invested stakeholders. I want to thank everyone who's in the room now, who's been part of the working group with us. Some of the roles and responsibilities, Britt and I have largely been your facilitators. We've been guiding the process, but then we also have Willie and Heather. Thank you, Willie and Heather, for being part of our design team and helping to move the work forward. And again, a big thank you to the apprenticeship working group. Here's a timeline. You all have all of this information, so I'm not going to spend too much time, but we started with some interviews. We defined some particular challenges around apprenticeship funding from ETP. We did some ideation, so we came up with big ideas together. Britt's going to share the prototypes, and then from here, we will discuss implementation. So part of interviewing, we conducted 14 interviews, generated 66 insights. You can see here a range of stakeholders, even within that relatively small group of interviews for the standard of our projects. As representative, I want to note that here we say emergent and innovative trades. That's not to say that all trades don't have some innovation here, just that we are looking for how might we really leverage this proven model of apprenticeships. Some of the challenges that stakeholders identified are a lack of standardized qualifiers for approving and funding apprenticeships. There's a desire within the evaluation structure to have metrics that speak more to the quality of life. I'm sure you've heard that from the panel throughout today's meeting. A shared consensus about bringing this opportunity to more underrepresented groups, and that stakeholders at times find the process of procuring funding to be cumbersome. This is, again, just to kind of visualize our process here. We've gone from challenge, we defined that challenge, and now we're here to deliver these prototypes that have been shared. We also did an ideation session. I'm going to read these how might we's, because what we did was we took all that data, we took those challenges, and we turned them into something that we could form some ideas around. So I'm just going to actually read these out loud to you. How might we establish clear, transparent criteria that both ETP's panel and ETP development staff are aligned on, so that applicants receive consistent guidance on how to develop their apprenticeship proposal? How might we define qualitative metrics that could indicate the positive impact of funding for an apprentice's career journey? And how might we collect, analyze, and disseminate data to ensure an equitable distribution of funding amongst various industries, regions, and demographics? These are our primary tools that we use in our field, which are Post-its. These represent ideas that were collected through an in-person ideation session that had 16 participants, 3 teams. Across that, 130 ideas were generated, and 4 of those ideas were prioritized, turned into prototypes. And now I'm going to turn it over to Britt, who is going to share these prototypes with you all. Take it away, Britt.
Yeah, great job, dudes. Hi, it's a pleasure to see you all again and be in virtual space with you all. So what I'm going to speak about, as Judy mentioned, are the 4 ideas that were prioritized for further development via prototyping. And then we tested those with the apprenticeship working group last week on May 21st. So I'm going to briefly speak about what the idea was, a little bit about what kind of is the structure of that idea, what's it meant to kind of accomplish. And then I'm also going to speak about some of the feedback that we heard during that session that will ultimately transform into considerations when we're talking about implementation planning. Also, just to note that the following prototypes have been organized from low to high effort, as defined during the ideation session itself by participants and through the prototyping development process by our design team. And so the first prototype here that we're looking at, one second, is about having a meeting between panel and staff to discuss any planned/desired changes within the application process. So the idea is that this would pair with a policy committee meeting. And I do want to make a note here that this particular prototype is something that we've seen come up during our previous phase of the work, as some of you may remember, where we were evaluating the whole entire ETP application pipeline. So just to kind of bring up that other point, that this is having a convergent point where panel can meet with staff and have some sort of a feedback loop that translates into the process, seems to be a really desired thing throughout ETP's processes and is not unique to just the apprenticeship process, but also has been seen as a desirable thing in general. And so part of this would be any discussed changes/considerations would be incorporated in the application review process for apprenticeships, with the goal of providing panel with more of the information they would like to see in order to effectively evaluate applications. And it does have an embedded success metric in it, and that the ultimate goal is to reduce the amount of questions that panel has to ask because they're not seeing enough information. And this is not saying that panel doesn't ask good questions or that panel shouldn't be asking questions. It's just about how can we provide more of that information upfront so that panel has what they need to effectively evaluate. And then next slide. So some of the feedback that we heard, generally in the working group, folks really liked this idea, so there was support for it. A consideration that was submitted, because we did also have forms that apprenticeship work group folks could submit information to. So a consideration that would help provide, this consideration would help provide a feedback loop that actually reaches applicants themselves. Ensuring that an apprenticeship program that has secured a contract can be a part of those policy committees and in some way provide their perspective for consideration. So that was one sort of consideration or idea that popped out when folks saw this particular prototype. And so moving on to prototype 2, this one focuses on developing a funding formula that is region specific and takes into consideration what we are calling community need. And just real quick, something weird has popped up on my desk. Okay, so the idea itself is that compare funding delivered to the total number of apprentices in each region and funding based on need. The process, and I'm going to read this one because it's pretty specific and it's a big one. So I'll read this one verbatim just so folks can kind of like take it in. The process that would be at play here is that ETP staff would work with the Division of Apprenticeship Standards to get detailed information on registered apprentices by region. After analyzing the data, ETP can take recommendations to panel on funding distribution by state region for approval. The formula itself, and again, this is a prototype. Things would be worked out more in implementation development. This is just to give you an idea, right? 50% of funding is based on total demand of applications from specific regions. The other 50% based on program growth and the region's share of total job openings within that region based on EDD labor market information division. A lot of words in that one. And so this one, we had a really rich discussion around this particular prototype, right? Because this is introducing a funding formula, which really was at the heart of the scope of this work. So some things that were identified up front by our working group was some concern that this would potentially result in exacerbating funding inequality between urban and rural areas, with more funding going to urban areas because of higher population and also the ability of those urban areas with their marketing ability. So that was a very valid upfront concern that was named immediately for this particular prototype. And then we did get some really good considerations that I think can account for this. Judy, if you can go to the next slide. I'm going to start with the geographical consideration here, because I really think that that the concern that was mentioned can potentially find some balance with this particular consideration, right? So this one talks about sectioning off regions by area codes, and then further defining criteria for community need. So essentially baking into the formula that the geographical component will be defined by area code. And what could happen there is that ETP could define kind of what area codes they might want to prioritize for apprenticeship growth, right? And that can help kind of create this balance if that between rural and urban areas, especially if you bake in some sort of priority that is saying these area codes that are in the more rural area that are seeing this this lack of growth in apprenticeship, we should really target this. So I did want to highlight this geographical consideration first, because I think it could help find that balance. And so that was one that was given directly within the testing session that really could support. Another consideration is again, what makes a good apprenticeship? And I think this one is maybe even more general than just this prototype. This can be something that is just thought about across, right? And so there was considerations like that about there must be criteria. The goal is to create excellent apprenticeship programs that include learning while working, industry sanctioned certifications, wage progression, and industry sanctioned jobs, ensuring they meet industry standards, right? So something to think about when creating a formula in terms of like, what do we mean by a good apprenticeship? And then, so moving on to the third one, this one is a funding allocation based on programs' usage of existing funding streams. So this is more of a consideration when looking at how much funds to allocate to an apprenticeship program. That would basically take into consideration an apprenticeship program's access to various funding streams that already exist. Right. I will say that this one in particular is pretty primed because there's already work going on between ETP and the Division of Apprenticeship Standards to create an MOU around data sharing. So there's pieces of this that are already in motion, right? But ultimately, it would evolve into an MOU between ETP, DAS, and also the California Community College Chancellor's Office to really provide data on which apprenticeship programs have what funding streams already. That way that the funding can be right-sized when ETP goes and allots the funding. And then some obstacles talked about here and very, very much valid and was flagged in also our development process is that we need to be ensuring alignment and equality of division apprenticeship standards data for ETP apprenticeship purposes, right? So there needs to be at these various intersections where the data is being given and the data is being sent, that there's agreement about what the data means and how it will be used and why it's being provided. And so you see more of that specifics in like the data considerations in terms of also monitoring the quality of data given at these three specific crucial points, right? So data given to ETP from apprenticeship programs, monitoring and really standardizing what that data is, and then the data given to DAS to ETP, and also the data given from ETP to DAS. So many acronyms, right? So, but like really, really getting clear on the data and kind of why it's being used and making sure that there's shared understanding behind what the data even means.
Britt, just a quick time check. I know that we're losing at least panel member Newsome. So I just wanted to acknowledge that. And can we go one more minute? 2 more minutes here?
Yeah.
Can I see thumbs? Can I see thumbs from people? Okay, great. Thank you. Go ahead, Brett. I can see, well, I saw arms.
Yeah, okay. And then some feedback, some other additional feedback, right, is thinking about the quality of the funding itself and what it's being used for by the apprenticeship program. And then also considerations for making sure that that when we talk about funding streams, we have a list of what are the funding streams and that they're varied and that they include various types. And then our last but certainly not least prototype is the exit interview form for ETP apprentices. And I will say during the ideation session, this is the idea that got the most votes. And it also was identified that it would require the most effort. However, the impact would be huge, hence why it's here, right? And so the idea is that there would be some sort of exit interview that is given to apprentices themselves by the apprenticeship programs, and that exit interview can be used to inform criteria that can be considered on what is a successful apprenticeship program. What are some of the signs of that? What are some of the signs of that, right? And so the program thanks, Jude. The program and policy unit implements a process coupled with the current file monitoring procedures of asking closeout questions to gather data from existing information of the apprentices graduating a program. I won't read out the whole part, but that's kind of a little snippet of the process. And then some of the feedback that we heard for this, overwhelmingly, our apprenticeship working group also agreed that this was a really great, we got a lot of excitement seeing this prototype. And so some of the feedback focused on questions to add to the form, questions focused around education and career wage progression, questions focused on apprentices' overall experience and what they found most valuable. How did the individual learn about the apprenticeship opportunity? Some really good questions that can give us a lot of data around what is the actual impact on the apprentice themselves? How are they growing their community through these apprenticeship programs? And then a really intriguing consideration that came up was incorporating exit interview for apprentices that actually drop out of the program. So those that don't complete, holding space to sit with that experience about why did that happen, what other resources could have been provided that could have sustained them through. That can also be really helpful considerations for ETP to have for in terms of really helping apprenticeship programs develop, right? And recognize kind of what resources they might want to be providing. And then I will pass it to Jules to talk through the next steps and we can wrap up. Thank you.
Thanks, Brett. So we are going to debrief with Willie and Heather next week, and then we will be working on some next steps for implementation. And I know we have a pregnant lady who's going up next, so I'm going to stop there and thank you all. Heather, did we do okay?
Yes, thank you. All right, so any questions for the Civic Makers team before we move on to our presentation? Yeah, Mike.
The presentation looks like it's focused on the trades. Were there any stakeholders involved that were in the so-called non-traditional apprenticeship programs?
Actually, Willie and I are going to speak to that in our presentation. So we worked really hard during the inception of the work group to ensure that we were hearing from a multitude of voices across all of the apprenticeship programs. And so offhand, I cannot recall. I know there was, Chair Betancourt was there, and there was at least one other non-construction apprenticeship program that was included. Any other questions? Okay, great. Thank you so much, Judy and Britt. We really appreciate you joining us virtually today.
Thank you.
And so with that, sorry, this is a little bit awkward. It's really tall and then it falls when I move it. Okay.
You can always get up there if you want to stand.
No,
you see.
Would you prefer I stand? I can do that.
It's totally whatever you want. If it's awkward and it's easier to do that, you could take it off its stand if you really want.
You're really pushing it.
I know.
Alejandra and Stefan, if we could please pull up our slides and we will run through this very quickly. So Willie and myself are here to give you a very brief update on essentially what is happening for the 24-25 fiscal year for the apprenticeship allocation. Next slide, please. So I would like to update you on some progress to date. Obviously, Judy and Britt gave a thorough update on our Civic Makers work, but I want to remind you of a couple of things. First, the ETP apprenticeship program funding window application opened on May 13th and will close on June 21st. We do expect that most of the apprentice projects will be heard at the September panel meeting, similar to what we did last year. I also want to remind you the projected allocation for the apprenticeship program funding this year is approximately $23.7 million, as well as tracking with the larger program reimbursement rates that were increased at the last panel meeting. The rates for apprentices in the next fiscal year will increase from $16 an hour to $22. And the rates for the journey workers and pre-apprentices will be $28 per hour. We've also increased our program caps from $500,000 last fiscal year to $600,000 this fiscal year. In addition to that, Peter, Willie, and myself have been working as we do around this program. To panel member Hill's point, we've been reaching out to programs in the apprentice ecosystem as a whole, including those who act as intermediaries, to bridge gaps and understandings from ETP's perspective of how those programs operate. Our goal is to better understand any potential barriers to entry for ETP funding for those types of programs. In addition to that, we attended the California Conference on Apprenticeship earlier this month and presented a fairly extensive presentation around ETP and what our funding opportunities are. We've also been very involved with the IACA and CAC committees with the Division of Apprenticeship Standards. We have found these efforts to be fruitful. We had a apprenticeship application informational session on Wednesday. There were over 80 folks in attendance, many of which had not come forward for ETP funding before. So fingers crossed we have some new applicants. I also want to mention here, which you'll see on the bullet point, and again, to panel member Hill's point, we did engage with the Southern California Apprenticeship Network, known as SCAN, as well as Launch, which is an intermediary primarily based in Southern California, to obtain some of their input while we were working through the ideation sessions with civic makers. Finally, as Britt and Judy mentioned, we are working with DAS to implement a data sharing MOU where we can share information amongst each other around the programs. All right, next slide, please. So this gets me to the funding for this next fiscal year. So as we approach the new fiscal year, we took into consideration, again, the entire apprenticeship ecosystem, really trying to look more broadly. The feedback and comments from the working group, as well as our goal towards diversity, equity, and inclusion to account for this year's methodology. In an effort to ensure that we are providing needed support for programs across the state, we will be utilizing a prior year's funding methodology. This was used 2 fiscal years ago. This will take into account the new funding caps that we have approved, the total demand that we receive when the applications are submitted, as well as the availability of funding to ensure that we can fund all viable programs that submit applications to ETP. As you'll see here, this methodology will reduce all proposals at a uniform rate in order to stay within our apprenticeship allocation for the coming fiscal year. And with that, I will hand it to Willie for our last slide.
Thank you, Heather. Internally, as we strategize to look forward, what do we want our program to end up looking like? We're looking at several key elements in building this roadmap. One of those elements is we want to diversify our apprenticeship training infrastructure by partnering with workforce development entities, community colleges, and the Division of Apprenticeship Standards. Another element is that we want to accelerate and explore non-traditional apprenticeship programs in sectors showing high growth, which include advanced manufacturing and healthcare. Another key element in our roadmap in our discussions is that we want to come to a mutual understanding and agreement on what diversity and equity and inclusion means as we go through and build this program. What you will see upcoming in the next year is some program updates. What we're looking at is how do we present the proposals to you in a manner that highlights the impact on the life of the apprentice and the progression of their training as they go through the program. What we're also looking at to contribute to, again, to the 2029 goal of 500,000 apprentices, how can ETP contribute to that part? By having that discussion of first defining what a new apprentice means, and then how do we create metrics so that way we capture that and we are able to identify and report that out to people. And lastly, that we will always, as we continue to do, engage stakeholders, which include training directors, but also we're including that stakeholders, signatory employers, because we want to hear from them also on how this training and how this program impacts them. And we've considered we'll still take this through the normal policy committee route and then through the panel and have public discussion. Next slide. And that's the end of our slide presentation.
I was about to call you out on that. You said you were on the last slide and then you go next.
Did I? What about some other things?
He said last slide.
I do want to add something real quick. Going back to panel member Mike, your question about the non-traditional folks. When we looked at who should we have on this committee, we also brought in the community college representative and DAS because we lean into them because they are doing work with those non-traditional folks. And that's who we lean on to for some of that information, some guidance for us since we are new to that area.
Different question. Do you have a concept of a data sharing model?
Not completely. but that's why we're having that discussion with DAS. We have started and we will continue to do that. It's learning each other's language, learning each other's needs and wants, and then going from there. But we will bring that to the group to say, this is where we're going to go with this and get some feedback on that.
Thinking that given data privacy issues, personal privacy, and the fact that the different stakeholders might want different information, it's probably going to be challenging to come up with a fundamental
Yes,
package that would work for everybody.
Although he does not know that, our legal unit will be involved before we make any move to say officially we are signing off, right?
Wake up, Mac, is basically what he's saying. It's interesting because in Mac's pile of like legislative memo, there is one about apprenticeships and sharing of data on tax returns. So there may be something in there that you can pull from that bit that's the easy share because it's I don't know, who knows, but if that one goes through.
But it's important for us to move in that direction so that way we can formulate some criteria and do some other things with that. The questions?
Any of them? All righty. Thank you. Okay, Gretchen, do you need to depart? You are welcome to. I feel like mum having to say go, you know. All right, just as Gretchen and so on and stuff, I'm going to ask this question. Is there any agenda items that panel members want to add to future agendas? Ugh. No, it hasn't got, no. Guess.
Maybe this is a policy thing, but regarding the language training issue and are there any policies that are getting in the way of supporting that kind of training?
I wonder if it would be good to know, like, let's maybe thinking out the box and staff are going to kill me about whether we can run some numbers just to get an idea of how literacy is going. If there seems to be a concern, maybe we just run some numbers to kind of mid-year. We're nearly at a year into those contracts for a lot of people. If we can run numbers to see where we are or get a general feel.
Yes, so absolutely. What we'll do is we'll put together some summary information and then we will connect with the individuals that shared information today and see what challenges that they are referencing and try to figure out if there's an opportunity for some additional change in the program.
Great. Sounds
Thank
good.
you.
Any other items anyone wants to request? Rick said no. All right, so we're going to move on to the last part of the meeting before we adjourn. We're going to move to public comment. Now, this is an opportunity for public to make comment on items that weren't on the agenda today, packets, not on packets, but just weren't on the agenda today. What I am going to ask in the spirit of fairness to all, where we are in time, I want to be very clear, it is a one-way street. It isn't a conversation, public comment. It's literally for us to hear. There isn't response from panel or staff. That we just keep it, I'm going to say short and sweet. If you're hearing the same things, maybe just say, I echo what has been said before. We're good with that because it's all on the record. I am going to ask if we can time, maybe we keep it to like 2.5 minutes. Oh, lots of them have got their phones out. That's good. Legal's got his phone out, so watch out, you know. All right, so I'm going to open the floor to public comment. We will start in the room and then go online. I think that's the most logistical, easiest way to do this. As I see the long line, I think it really is going to be 2 to 2.5 minutes to get us out as well. Lovely, thanks.
Afternoon, or I said we are good afternoon. So I'll be quick. Michelle Rickner with Training Funding Partners, and I want to speak to the rule that was discussed at the February panel meeting, I believe, on the 75% performance that needs to be shown for projects to come back to panel, especially MEX. This is specific to MEX. I believe John Fox has asked for us to be on the agenda for the policy committee. Not sure if that's going to happen, but just want to express how difficult it is to show performance, 75% performance for a MEC in a short time frame. My client today, South Bay Workforce Investment Board, was a perfect example. Our training period ended in December. Our contract ended in March, and we are just now submitting invoicing May 10th for all those employers that came through. So the reason we're at this penalty, we tried to wait until July for the increased reimbursement. We have 2 or 3 employers that are clamoring to get training for their businesses and their employees. And had we waited, we would have been out of funding for another 8 months. So we're here, we only show 14% performance in our project. However, we've invoiced more than 100% of the hours. And so we're just asking for the panel to consider talking, letting us have more voice about what that looks like and for us to discuss together how we might address that change. Thank you.
I timed it at 3 minutes, so I'm going to talk really fast. But good afternoon, panel members. My name is John Fox. I represent the San Bernardino Community College District and ETP multiple employer contract holder. I'm here today to provide public comment regarding the change to the repeat contractor rule passed in February. I hope the panel will consider reverting this change as it applies to MECs. Changes to the repeat contractor rule were discussed at the December 23 policy committee meeting. It was the impression of some attendees at that meeting that the proposed changes did not apply to MECs. In February, the rule change that was voted on did include MECs, and at that time, I made public comment with concerns about MECs being included and suggested the topic go back to the policy committee for additional discussion. We estimate the new rule will result in significant decrease in ETP funds accessed by MECs. Why is this important? First, ETP's ability to distribute funds in the MEC category will be hampered. Next, the ability of MECs to consistently and responsively deliver ETP funded training to employers will be significantly diminished, restricting our ability to empower career advancement for California workers. Additionally, MECs partner with hundreds of California businesses, increasing through just a few contracts ETP's ability to reach small and medium-sized employers. Under the new repeat contractor rule, training needs will go unfulfilled or be delayed, allocated funding will be unspent, and engagement with ETP through the network of MEC contractors will dwindle. Let me demonstrate why there will be such a significant impact by sharing a potential timeline for a MEC to become eligible for a repeat core contract under the new rule. Once ETP awards a contract, we begin working with participating employers to deliver training. After at least 75% of the training is complete, we need 3 months for retention, then up to 6 months for final invoicing. Only after this up to 9-month period is done can 75% of a contract be considered actual earned, and a MEC can begin the up to 5-month process of applying for a new contract. This means up to 14 months will pass after 75% of the training has been delivered before a MEC can appear before the panel to request a new contract. Instead of MECs being able to return for a contract each fiscal year, we will effectively only be able to request a contract every 2 to 3 years at best. We're very aware of and conscientious of the need for ETP to adjust and make iterative changes to rules and operating procedures. However, we respectfully submit that the problems caused by this change will outweigh the benefits. In addition to bringing this to your attention today, on behalf of the community college MECs, as well as other MECs with whom we have met, we've submitted a request to discuss this issue at the next ETP policy committee meeting on June 20th. The community college MECs are longtime ETP partners and stakeholders willing to engage with staff and panel members to help find other possible improvements to the repeat contractor rules. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Good morning, panel. I'll make this very short, believe it or not, lessons learned in the past. If it's okay, because of shortness of time, I do have papers, if it's acceptable to the panel. Somebody could hand them out, but it's very crucial because it sort of emphasizes what he says, and I have some for the staff and legal as well. There's one particular map that I really want to address. It's going to keep my comments short. Rest of you. So a little bit of history. You know, the 75% rule that's been in place was based on potential earnings. And what has changed about this new rule is now, you know, you have 75% earned. What is that difference does that make? We're going from a period of the old rule of 3 months that employer would have to wait. Not very long. That 3 months includes 90-day retention if they need that. So we were able to have continuity with the employer where we could give them training when needed with a very short notice. This new policy is going to extend that possibly to a year or more. So my understanding, I'm not sure what the reason why this rule came about, but my understanding it was based on improving performance among MECs. So I want to address my point from that standpoint. I know from the college, and I'm basing this on El Camino College. If you want to look at the last 2 pages, that's the only pages I'm going to refer to. Our performance at El Camino has been the 97% range consistently. Our small employers that we serve has been, relatively high. So the wage rates high. We demonstrate that through the years, but what happens with ETP sometimes, if you're addressing a low performer, sometimes I get the impression that the panel feels like you have to be fair and pass a rule that's fair to all concerned. But by taking that approach, it has an unintended consequence, and this is true in this case, that the ones you're trying to address, you're going to hurt the ones that are performing. So that's what I'm really addressing here. I do think ETP does have rules to address those that are not in compliance, and hopefully you'll look at that. But I want to share something that came to me last night. How can I keep this short and get the point across? If you look at this back map, colleges reached out to the rural areas purposely, so no one community is left behind. And if you imagine these are little lots and they go off during a 1-year gap, what effect that's going to have. And if you want to see what effect it's going to have on the employer, just turn it to the other side. So since, as John said, since this wasn't discussed at the December panel, I too heard, I was at that panel, that it was for the single employer. There wasn't really any discussion. There hasn't been a policy committee since December. And I feel and hope that the panel listens, that it gets the attention it needs. So my ask is, could you please postpone this decision, get adequate input to ensure that we're doing the right thing and addressing performance for those it affects, but keep the high performers. Thank you.
Just brief, my name is Annie Rafferty, and I'm the director of Butte College. And I echo my colleagues, including Michelle, who highlighted from her organization as a MEC that 8-month period in the gap of the 75% rural impacts. From a northern rural California, I'll speak for in the spirit of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And the 75% rule, because we deal with different individual employers and small businesses, our populations aren't the same. And the beauty and the strength and the heart of ETP and the colleges and the MECs working together is we can provide rapid response capabilities, provide custom training for different employers. So while we're ending a contract with a certain population of people, the next term of a contract has a different population of people. And so the strength of that verification from a payroll perspective is what's most important. And at the end of the day, when we have an opportunity to discuss further, hopefully at the June policy meeting, we can learn more about what is it we're trying to solve and how can we move forward with continuing to serve those populations that we have been. Butte College's 12 years and 8 contracts in building Northern California. It used to be a challenge in Northern California. So if we are not able to provide services, which January, we would have had lights off for us at Butte College. We just hit 77% in May. We wouldn't get a contract for 60 more days at least, or 30 in addition to the panel meeting, so that's 90. So we would be closed for 8 months until we were able to provide training again to any new employers. Thank you for the opportunity to provide our comment.
Hello, Rocio Leon from California Manufacturing Technology Consulting with the C. You're going to hear from CMTA in a moment. Just wanted to make the distinction. CMTC is a 501c3. Our mission in a nutshell is to strengthen and sustain manufacturing in the state of California, primarily focusing on the small manufacturer. And so the thing that I really want to emphasize in this discussion about this new rule is the biggest impact is going to be on those small manufacturers. The MECs are ETP's way to access and provide access to the funding for the small manufacturers. Most of them do not have the capability, they don't have the time, they don't have the bandwidth, they don't have the ability to apply or manage a contract themselves. The MECs are the tool. And you have those statistics. Those statistics are available in your system to see that the vast majority of small manufacturers, especially manufacturers of all sizes, but especially small manufacturers, without the MECs, one of two things happen. The door closes for those companies to have access to these resources and provide skills for their employees, skills training for their employees, or your staff is going to be overwhelmed with a large number of additional applications that could have been handled through the MEC. CMTC serves 50 to 80 companies per contract. So that's, again, either 50 to 80 companies that either don't come and aren't able to benefit from this program, or that overwhelm your staff with new applications. So really appreciate the opportunity to make the comment. Hope that you will take consideration everything that was talked about in terms of the timing. Funds hours completed is different than funds earned, and we control hours completed. We don't control the definition of funds earned. As a very briefly, we had training that we completed in September of last year. We invoiced for it in October. The final completion of retention happened in January. We invoiced for that in February. We just got paid last week. Work that we completed and that we have the demonstrated performance on from last September. We did not get that performance recognized in our contract as earned by ETP rules, by what this rule would require, until this past week, which means we would be a year out from when we completed that to when we'd be able to move forward with the next contract. Again, really impacting those manufacturers, those small manufacturers especially. Thank you.
Nathan Daly, CMTA, in support of revisiting the 75% actual earned rule as applied to MECs. Thank you.
A brief. Hi, I'm Philip Herrera, Rare & Company. I represent single employers in the life sciences and semiconductor industries. I want to welcome panel member Father Gill. I pronounce the name again. Got it. Okay, great. I'm here on a different subject. I want to let you know, and anybody watching, that there is a group of stakeholders that are watching the bills going through the legislature very carefully to see if those are helpful for the program, or if they're not, and we're taking a position on it. We're also trying to work with the governor's office as close as we can on budget issues. More bad news, the $50 million left in the rainy day fund looks like that's going to offset some UI cost. So my name is Philip Herrera. You can find me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. Contact me about joining this coalition of stakeholders that will help save ETP. Thank you.
And my name is Chris Cagle. I am the Regional Affairs Manager for the South Bay Workforce Investment Board. Thank you again for allowing me to speak. During the break, I was talking to Member Newsom, and I mentioned to her what our average wage is on our program. And it was $43.48. And she says, "Why did you say that?" So I'm telling you now, our average wage on our program, $43. And then, as some of the others have said regarding the 75% rule, I also agree with what they were talking about. It will add some time to the whole process. As mentioned earlier, I wouldn't have been able to come before you today. I'd have to wait potentially a few months. And my employers have already been waiting since December 31st because my contract ended in March. So they've already been waiting 5 months. So it would add a couple or a few months process. We're trying really hard to work at the speed of business, which is challenging in the government space. But with that in mind, I hope you could allow for some additional public discussion on that. And then also I wanted to mention on the apprenticeship discussion we had earlier, I was thinking, we should also apply for the apprenticeship offering that you have out now. But my MEC that I just got uses core funding, and your apprenticeship funding also is core funding, and I can't apply for two things. So thought on that. And then one final thing, Heather Miguel mentioned as part of their report, they talked to SCAN, the Southern California Apprenticeship Network. Well, you might be interested in knowing the South Bay Workforce Investment Board is the one that helped get that started. We got a grant from the Irvine Foundation, and now we're the administrative and fiscal agent of that program, and we're providing staff to make it work. So thank you very much.
All right, we're going to switch to online as the line in the room has disappeared at the moment. So anything online?
Nothing online.
Nothing online. Okay. Going to give you like 30 seconds if anyone else wants to run up. Nope, we are done on public comment. So I think we're moving to potentially adjourning this meeting, but I need a motion and then a vote to adjourn this meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All righty, let's get a vote.
Chris Dombowski.
Hmm?
Ricky
Who's in a
Smiles.
second?
Aye.
Rebecca Bancourt.
Aye.
Gretchen Newsom. Michael Hill.
Aye.
Jennifer Pottegill.
Aye.
And Douglas Tracy.
All right. So I thought we had a second. I'm going to tell that we did. I thought we did. I thought we went there and there, so like ping pong. Okay. Everyone's like, we didn't. I'm like, I'm sure we did. What am I hearing? All right. So that motion to adjourn has been passed. So we are going to call this meeting to an end. It is 12:59. We did it before 1 o'clock. Thank you. See you not next month, July.
How are you? Yes. Where are you?